Class, today we are going to be talking about things that rot your brain. Teacher, I hear the Rod Taylor report will rot my brain. Is that true? What a tool. Well, that's correct, Susie. If you listen to the Rob Taylor report, it will rot your brain. Therefore, you must dive under your desk, grab the back of your head, and do the duck and cover maneuver. Let's see this example. Mama, I want to watch the Rob Taylor report. Timmy, no! It's too late. You've been warned. Children should not watch the Rob Taylor report.
Somebody please think of the children!
Hey everybody, thank you for joining the Friday Night Rant. I've got a lot of really cool guests coming on here. It's going to be an interesting show. I'm sorry I haven't been around the last 2 weeks. We've been a little busy. We've been just a tad bit busy. I mean, we've been doing concerts and American Value tours, and we've been dealing with the commissioners and all this good stuff. But if you happen to watch last Monday, on the last Monday show, we had Commissioner Rod Taylor here, and it was a very interesting show that we had. We were talking about the upcoming commissioners meeting. And one of the things that was happening is that they were going to have an It's Not a Phase prom. And, you know, when I first got this from Rod, I was like, Rod, really, you're overblowing it. It's a bunch of gay kids and emo kids who want to get together and have some punch. And, you know, I didn't really think about it. And then he pointed out some things on here that was a little bit of a problem for me. And this is it right there. At the bottom of that poster, you see Coos Health and Wellness. Now, I don't care if people want to let their freak flag fly. If you want to let your freak flag fly, that's perfectly okay. But at me as a taxpayer, I was a little taken back by it because, you know, I thought, why are we paying for Coos Health and Wellness to support and partner with this very controversial event? And if you notice, I took the businesses out. There were 3 other businesses that supported this nonprofit or this event, this phase prom is what they were calling it. And I hope everyone understands I'm someone who will never go after private businesses. I think they have a right to their free speech, but you use my tax dollars to do a drag show, an all ages drag show. I think I have something to say about it. So we went to the commissioners meeting this past Wednesday. I think we filled the room with people for and against it, which was a beautiful thing. I love when we get a bunch of people together in the commissioners room and you have a lot of people who are on the different sides, so you can get up and actually have a conversation with the commissioners and find out where we're all coming from. And really, once again, it came down to the basic fact that most people who were there opposed to funding going to this event. Well, they just don't think that that's part of government. And so I guess John Sweet and Drew Farmer and all their wisdom didn't think so. They think that that's okay. It's okay that we support drag shows, and especially all ages drag show, and of course mocktails. It was a very controversial decision. I mean, what the heck? And there it is, the leather weather wear that we want you to wear at the all ages Pride Prom drag show, and you're now paying for it as a taxpayer. This is all funded by you, and it's a beautiful thing. You've got all these beautiful people who are going to show up to this drag show, and don't worry, there will be chaperones there. We will have chaperones. In fact, I think I got a chaperone here. Oh, no, not a chaperone. That's one of the bartenders. This is going to be one of the bartenders. This is Bub. He's going to be serving candy cigarettes and mocktails. This is going to be a great thing for everyone out there. And then, of course, this is going to be one of the chaperones. There he is, John Sweet. John Sweet, I think, is going to be chaperoning this party because he voted for it. So you guys, if you show up to the drag show, please tell John Sweet thank you for spending our money on it. We appreciate that. So, well, maybe John isn't the only chaperone. Here's another one of the chaperones. Oh, yes. This was one of the protesters out there who was protesting at the commissioners meeting. He had a sign that said, Taylor, liar, bigot, coward, useless. Of course, that means a lot coming from a man who wears a mask. And so I don't know why anyone would think should be concerned about an all ages prom, because there shouldn't be any weirdos showing up for this, right? Oh no, maybe that weirdo right there. Yep, maybe Sal Carruthers will be showing up for this all ages prom. So I thought that I'd catch you all up on what's happening, that you now are the supporter of an all ages drag show that's going to be happening and partnered with by Coos Health and Wellness. And we're going to talk about that and several other issues and be ranting about a lot of different things in the next couple of hours. And I hope you enjoy. And I'm going to bring on my guest right now. I've got TJ Stocks from Stocks Family Farm. I have Emily and I have Marty Kuhrt. Hi, everybody. How you all doing?
Pretty well. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone.
Marty hasn't been around for a while in the last couple of weeks because I haven't done a show. How you been doing, Marty?
I've been missing the Friday night rants. It's like I don't know what day of the week it is anymore, because I'm like going, well, it can't be Friday because I'm not doing a rant.
I'm
Or
not
if I am
ranting.
doing a rant, I'm ranting to my pet cat, who really doesn't appreciate it at all. So
I think we should have cat rants. That's what we should do. Cat rants.
my Coos County Animal Shelter cat is like actually pretty mellow about me ranting. So
Well, we've got two rant virgins, okay? I mean, you know, how sweet fresh meat, I have to say it. We've got Emily joining us, and we got TJ Stocks. We'll be gentle with you too, we promise. And but thank you for joining us. Emily, what's going on in your world these days?
Not a whole lot. After organizing the rally, I decided to kind of take a couple weeks off. Probably going to be cooking some dinners. I used to be a chef down in San Antonio, so I make a lot of suppers for my friends and in the community. I'm thinking about maybe expanding it to a bigger crowd. We'll see what happens. Not much other than that, though.
We need more chefs. That's a good talent. That's a
Thank you.
talent. That's one of those things. If young people, if you're someone who's actually interested in getting married, learn how to cook, because that makes you a very valuable partner in the relationship. Wouldn't you say, Emily?
100%.
Absolutely.
Marty would agree. His wife has to be forced to eat chicken pot pie many, many nights.
Yeah, whenever I'm not home and cooking, she's like, "Oh, it's another Swanson's chicken pot pie night." And I'm like, "Well, there you go." Yeah, I was single until I was 38, and so I was always cooking for myself. And then when I got married, I had for a while there, I was running 3 or 4 businesses out of my house, and so and my wife was working for the Federal Reserve, so she was like had to commute. So I'd be like, okay, I'll just do all the shopping and cooking and whatnot because I'm home anyway. So shopping, cooking, and cat monitoring was my full-time job outside of the 3 or 4 businesses I was actually running at the time. So, but
Well, you know. TJ, you've got a farm, and anyone who knows, farmers are actually gamblers, but they just don't know how to play cards. That's what I have figured out about farmers. How is farming life right now?
Well, feed is too expensive. And I like I'm 100% organic. Everything on my farm, I use all this like stuff from my coop, the droppings in my coops and my pig yard. I use that for my garden, things like that. I don't use any chemicals. And so, like, when you do that, you have to like free range like all your birds, and well, bobcats out here. I've lost like 60 birds in the past 3 months.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
What kind of birds?
So, chickens and geese.
Oh, you have geese.
Yeah, I did have geese. I have 2 left out of like 15.
I was going to offer to buy a goose off of you, but I think you need to keep those too.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna have to
huge.
buy some more.
That's
They took all my males, so now I only have 2 females left. So I'm gonna have to buy a male. It's gonna take me another year before they start breeding, and I got this whole thing. But
so they don't have They don't have stud geese. I mean, like you can bring in like a bull or a horse that is primarily there just
Right.
to breed your cows or breed your horse, and they don't have like stud geese.
So I know somebody that has fertilized eggs, and I have multiple incubators, so I'll just probably buy
Yeah.
like a dozen fertilized goose eggs, and I'll just incubate them and raise them.
Well, can't you like get an eagle and breed the eagle with the goose and make a geagle or I don't know. I don't know how that works, play a little, violin music.
A goose is better at
Oh.
self-defense. Yeah, there you go. Bring in a raptor and a goose and put them together. Yeah, the geagle.
The geagle.
No,
The
The
geagle.
geagle will
I'm
never be
telling
attacked.
you. I'm
Yeah, I
telling
mean,
you. you've got
a
something
goose
here.
egg hatches in 46 days. So if I get a dozen or so goose eggs, I could have a whole flock again in like a few months.
Someone says that you need a livestock guardian dog. Does that
I
really
have
help?
one.
Do you?
I have one. Yes, and he does help. His name's Commander. He's an Akbash Shepherd. He's a Turkish livestock guardian dog. He's a little over 200 pounds. He looks like a German Shepherd with floppy ears, but a giant one. But his best friend is my pig. He jumps he plays with my pig like every morning. Like when it's time to go feed the pig, he runs out there with me, and he'll jump over the fence in with the pigs, and he'll just hang out with the pig.
Very, very nice. I got a friend who has emus. Well, maybe we'll get you in contact with him.
I had emus for a while too. I butchered them. That's the weirdest thing to do. I had an alcoholic emu. He would take apples from my apple tree and put them in a pool, and then drink and let them ferment, drink the water, and fall over.
That's not unusual. There is a herd of elephants in the Serengeti who will travel thousands of miles to this fruit that drops off the trees and ferments on the ground, and they'll all get drunk, and they have videos of these drunk elephants that have traveled thousands of miles. So I guess humans aren't the only animals who like to tie one on.
Right.
So
cheers to that.
Well, that's how we get rid of slugs out of our garden. Is we put out little cups of beer at ground level, and the slugs just love it. They don't run over there because they're slugs, but everybody runs over to the little cups of beer, gets drunk, and then drowns in the beer. And that's the only way I figured out how to get slugs out of the garden.
That's a weird National Geographic needs to get a hold of that story. Emily left me a note in a private chat. We weren't going to discuss the trial. That was just something I threw out there. This is the nice thing about the Friday night rant is I stopped drinking a couple of months ago, so it makes a little more sense, the Friday night rant. But we used to come on here and drink quite heavily and talk about the issues and just rant about the different things. And so I really don't pick any topics. We just go over the topics that have been very prevalent on the day. And so I was really bringing you on here because I thought you were probably someone who had a different aspect or a different outlook on the prom thing, and I wanted to hear your opinion on that.
Sure. Now, to be clear, I'm not part of the organizational structure about the prom. All I know is what's on the poster, and then what I've heard from you. I did reach out to some of the people who are organizing it, and I said, if there's anything you want me to say, because I'm planning to be on Rob Taylor's show, let me know. And they said, no, if Rob wants to clear up anything, then you can give him our email. And I said, okay. So if I have something to say about it, which I do, it's more about the broad cultural, structural aspect, if that makes sense. And I got to say, Rob, do you know the clip of the drag show that you played? I think it was on Monday. Do you know where it was from?
Yeah, that was a news clip from Fox News. They had people go into an all ages drag show and film that.
Now, I wouldn't be shocked if they're having all ages drag shows of that sort in, places like perhaps San Francisco. But suspiciously, the video that you played had the audience cut out of the clip. Is that so? For me, that was a little tenuous. Here's the point. I'm seeing discussions about, drag being like this explicitly sexual thing when a lot of the time drag is sexually themed, right? Because it deals with the idea of your body and your gender and how you present and all of this things. There's plenty of sexually themed drag. Some of it really is more like pageantry than anything else. And I like to think of drag in the same way that I think of the WWE. It is a costuming affair, right? And regardless of what you think of folks' lifestyles and regardless of what you think of folks' beliefs, I think that it's important to have a conversation about, do we think that the people in Coos County are the kind of people who are trying to hurt kids? And I've been around these folks. I disagree with a lot of folks around here about a lot of stuff. I've been ornery in Democrat meetings, and I've been ornery in advocacy group meetings, and the farthest of the left people in this town don't like me much, and I'm fine with that, to be fair. But folks in Coos County, I mean, you make this point on a regular basis, Rob. This is a small town, and I think that when we're talking about our own neighbors, and we're talking about like the people in our community, I think it's right, good, true, neighborly, and American to say, I have concerns of what could happen, and I'm going to make sure that people are safe, but I want to put my faith into people in my community. I don't know. What is that a bit far for you?
No,
Well-
actually, I'm fine. I'm fine with that idea, and I guess some of the analogies kind of didn't quite hit the mark for me. But let's put it this way: like when you say, "Oh, it's kind of like WWE," and I'm like, well, and most people follow WWE like it's it's opera for guys in spandex. But I mean, the whole point of WWE is like they will like jump off the top rope. They'll hit each
Yeah.
other over the head with chairs. They will, do these like throttle maneuvers that if you actually did those in real life, it would be super dangerous and dangerous to kids. So, if your kids are watching WWE and then they start jumping off the roof and they start like throttling people in the throat and, busting chairs over their heads, then you got to kind of be worried about it. You don't want people giving that kind, you have to have some sort of situation where there's parental guidance. So, if the kid's going to a drag show with their parents and they go, okay, this is just another type of pageantry, I'm fine. And the concern is that, it's most drag shows I've been to, because at one point I lived in West Hollywood, most drag shows I've been to are overtly sexualized.
That's
and the
true.
whole point is you are bending the genders. You are overblowing the sexualization, and that's kind of the whole point.
In many ways, I agree, but I will stop you real quick to make one point,
Okay.
to point out one thing. I did see the poster, and the poster features what appears to be two women who will be doing male drag. And I got to tell you, boys, yes, Eddie Van Hella and Johnny Avenue. Now, my experience with male drag is that those girls are stand-up comedians and not much else. They are hilarious usually, and it tends to be because like it's a lot easier to put stuff on than it is to cover stuff up. And so if you catch my drift. And so for the most part, I am looking at what appears to be a show of just people who want to do costumes, have a good time, put on a show, most likely a comedy show, maybe some song and dance. But I'm not looking at something that convinces me I don't have any evidence or basis for accusing these people of doing something inappropriate in front of kids necessarily.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I look at that and I look like it looks like an advertisement for a leather weather show, a leather weather sex show with your drag show prom going on, all ages. Doesn't say anything about chaperones. To me, as a parent and a grandparent, I saw this on the school wall or even on the mall wall. I would be really upset about this.
And that, like, that's absolutely, you're right to be upset about it. I'll never deny that. But I definitely want to point out the fact that you said that that's what it looks like, right?
Right.
And not what we know that it could be, right? So there's room for doubt there. I think you can agree on that.
No, there's not room for doubt because in a parent's mind, I have every right to make those judgments because I am in charge of protecting my child and grandchild. So I see that, and I don't want any children exposed to something that these people would think would be appropriate to put this type of advertisement out and think that average citizens, average parents aren't going to be shocked by this, call their commissioners ticked off, because nowhere on it does it say chaperones. Nowhere on this does it say that this is going to be, appropriate for children. It just says all ages.
So usually, Rob, all ages means appropriate for all ages, right? And
Not
I understand,
always.
well, right, not always, but let me make an example. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Church is an all ages place, right? And we don't sit here and say, oh, they're mixing kids and adults and they don't have chaperones, right? And we have millions of examples of child abuse, sexual child abuse by people within the church, right? But that doesn't mean that when I hear the church and an all ages event that I immediately think, oh, they're grooming the kids. Like what I'm trying to point out here is that
Emily, though, look at the
that's
outfits they're
disgusting.
wearing.
That's
They're not going to be
disgusting
wearing
comparison.
that in church.
well, how's that disgusting? I'm talking about real court cases and real criminals who really
No,
did bad stuff.
absolutely. But to invoke religion into it and the church
said the
into
church.
it, no, that's disgusting.
Not the same thing as
No, I'm
religion,
not
my
gonna
friend.
let. I don't want to hear that.
Well, how about tell you what?
No, I actually hold on, Emily. TJ, I think she's right in the fact of pointing out, and I was a Catholic altar boy. We always, when I tell people, oh, I was a Catholic altar boy, the first thing they think is that you were sexually molested, when the fact is probably less than 1% of the altar boys who were ever altar boys were molested.
That's exactly my point, Rob. When we're talking about drag shows and we're talking about queer culture, there's absolutely cases of bad things happening to kids, but it is a very small percentage of instances, right? And you ever met a homeschooler, Rob? I'm sure you have, because I know there were a couple of them at that TPUSA event. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
And I was homeschooled during middle school. I loved being homeschooled. And the thing about being homeschooled, is that those kids, a lot of them, they fly under the radar. You know what I mean? Homeschool kids, they get a bad rap because, you got the Mormon ones in the jean jumpers with the 18 kids, and they don't know how to talk like everybody else talks, and they stand out really bad, And there's nothing wrong with those folks, but they are a little weird to most people, right? And so when people think homeschoolers, they're thinking jean jumpers and, and like sister fuckers and that kind of stuff. And it's a mean generalization. Gay people get the same crap, right? Because the worst ones with the most absolutely abhorrent behavior are the ones that really stand out. And normal, nice, conscientious, good citizens who happen to have,
That's not true, though.
identity.
Those two stereotypes, I don't believe those two stereotypes. Yeah. And most gay men are not going to be child molesters. Yeah. And most homeschoolers are going to be perfectly social animals. They're going to fit in socially. To me, if someone's seeing those two types of stereotypes, they're just ignorant people. I kind of want to let TJ kind of wants to talk. I want to let him go.
Please.
When I was living in West Hollywood, and I was living in a predominantly gay apartment complex, I had a lot of gay friends that, unless they told you explicitly they were gay, you probably wouldn't know. And their biggest complaint was they were upset at the people that were flagrant and, and flamboyant, and the ones that were walking around in chaps with no pants on all the time, and stuff like that. And that's a small portion of the gay community. Not all the gay community is doing that. As a matter of fact, a lot of people in the gay community were like going, start learning how to be, stop being so quote unquote gay, because it's ruining the reputation for everybody else. So, and when you kind of like were casting aspersions on the church, yeah. But when there's a church event, when I used to go to church events as a kid, all the parents were there, all the kids were there. The chances of something weird going on would be almost impossible, because it's such a small community where everybody knows everybody. And not only does everybody know everybody, but everybody talks about everybody behind their back. So nobody's going to pull any shenanigans. So, like with Rob saying, well, it's, the Catholic Church. Well, it was the high people in the Catholic Church that were getting caught doing shenanigans.
Now,
It
to be
wasn't,
clear, Marty, it was
Yeah.
the high people in the Catholic Church covering up for regular old priests who were doing mean, horrible, nasty, evil shit that we don't,
Yeah.
And here's the point. When we look at like crime statistics, and like we can start pulling them up together if you like. When we look at the crime statistics of the likelihood of a kid being harmed by an adult, we are talking mostly about small instances within large generalizations, right? We don't have a culture that encourages pedophilia, I should hope. And because of that, when we look at, okay, so there's a general culture, right? Let's say, I don't know, Mexicans, right? They're not generally pedophilic, but they're going to have a small percentage of criminals, just like white folks, just like religious folks, just like secular folks, just like gay folks. And when you start treating a whole group of people based on the couple of folks that stand out really bad, you're definitely operating out of a feeling that it's bad, and it's good to have that feeling, right? That is a good feeling to have. And like I said, I will never, ever, ever denigrate anyone for feeling worried for the safety of children. That is a good thing to do. But denigrating the character of a group of people because they associate with folks who you've seen media telling you that they're groomers and child abusers, just kind of going off of feelings.
No, I get that from the actions. I don't see any necessary action for a grown man dressed like an absurd version of a woman to need to have an audience of children. I think there's something
don't need
seriously
to.
wrong with that, but they're doing it.
Sure. Well,
So
you
there's
don't need
something
to
wrong
have a
with it.
YouTube
There's
channel, but
something
you're doing
wrong
it.
with that, though,
Why?
Yeah, well, then
because
you're,
there's
but
no
you're
need
using,
for it.
Well, there's no need for this here YouTube channel, but you have it.
Well, to get
but you're
information
using
out,
the same
yes.
generalities where it's like you're saying, oh, you
TJ,
don't want
I'm
to
sorry. Hold
generalize.
on,
You don't want
Marty.
to generalize.
TJ's been trying to talk for a few
Okay,
minutes.
sorry,
We haven't
TJ.
let him.
Hey, it's okay. I've enjoyed this. Okay. Let's just pull it back, right?
Okay.
In our everyday lives, when we go to Fred Meyer or Walmart or Safeway, do we look around at the people around us and think, oh, they're a Democrat or they're a Republican or they're gay or
I do.
whatever? You do?
Mhm.
I don't.
I don't
I don't
treat
give a
folks
shit.
different based on it, but like I go, oh,
No, I don't look at people and judge them as like, oh, try and figure out what they are. Like, they're just people living their lives. They don't give a shit what you're doing. Why give a shit what they're doing? Like, okay, so here's my whole thoughts on this gay prom. You want to be gay? Go be as fucking, can I swear?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Sorry.
That's
Go
the
be as
that's
fucking
the-
gay as you want. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Just why allow kids to go? Why not just make it an 18+ thing? Like I know I've been to tons of drag shows. I was a Democrat for a long time. Even up to 2020, I was looking at Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang. You know, and I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 either. I voted for him in 2020, but I don't think anybody really cares what anybody else is doing. And I say this at the protests all the time when I go down and talk to people. 99.9% of all the stuff in the world, we all agree about. It's that 1% that we're so passionate about, and this is a topic that we're passionate about. Why expose any type of sexuality to the kids? Why do you want to talk to kids about sex?
Right.
Nobody should want to talk to kids about sex. We need to leave the kids alone. I have a 7-year-old daughter. I can't even tell you what would happen if somebody tried talking to my kid about sex. I keep her out of the public school system for a reason. Because I don't want her learning about all this stuff.
Right. I mean, I also was kept out of public school for the same reasons. I want to be clear. Like I share a lot of your concerns on this. I agree that we have a big cultural problem with inappropriate material in front of children. I think that protecting kids, their innocence and their just prolonging that childhood as long as we possibly can before they really have to grow up. I think this means keeping kids off of social media for the most part, yada, 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 the whole thing now. But, I guess my question is should you not be straight in front of kids? Because that's sexual.
No, it's not sexual. It's not overtly sexual. It's not
sexual orientation.
No, because here's why. I can stand there with my gay friends.
Hey, I'm straight. I'm proud. I'm not I'm not waving my dick in front of people, going, "Hey, look at me. I'm straight. That woman arouses me. I'm straight. Look at me."
Right.
I don't.
You're assuming that that's what the people at this prom are going to do.
They're laying on their horns going, "Look at me, I'm gay. Look at me, I'm gay. If you don't think it's okay for me to be gay, then there's something wrong with you. And I'm just going to shout you down and sit here all day and say, if you don't like the way I'm gay, then there's something wrong with you. And it's not my problem. It's your problem. And that's what you're going to say. And we're just going to scream at you. And that's what I get. And that's what I can't stand. I'm not sitting going, oh, look at me. I'm straight. As a matter of fact, I keep my stuff to myself. I don't want anybody to know what I do. Why do these people insist on saying, this is what we do? We know this is going to upset you, and this is what we do.
Well, I don't think it's about upsetting you, Marty.
But the thing with Emily is that I can stand there with old buddies of mine, old friends of mine, and a group of people, and some of them are gay, some of them are bi, some may even be closet trannies. But you would never know that because we're not talking about our sexuality. We're not in some flamboyant outfit trying to impose this image on kids. Right. And how can it not be sexualized when you're dressed as a caricature of a woman? And usually it's an unflattering caricature.
Yeah.
I mean, if I went to a party in blackface, that would be inappropriate. So why is it not inappropriate for a man to put on an outfit making women look absurd?
Now, I gotta say, there is a conversation within left-leaning spaces about whether it's misogynistic for men to dress as drag queens. I personally think it's kind of just cool and fun and interesting. And for the most, I personally, I don't find cabaret shows very interesting. The more sexualized media isn't as interesting to me, but I think fashion is cool. I don't wear makeup, but I think it's cool how other people can do a lot of artistic stuff with it. For me, the question is more about when we talk about imposing, right, our sexuality on these people, right? Aren't these people quite literally making a space so that they can celebrate something about themselves that they don't really get to celebrate very often? Isn't that kind of they're not imposing it, they're doing it?
Why did we have to spend our tax dollars on it? It was $200. Right. Why
Isn't
couldn't you?
Health and Wellness funded by intergovernmental grants and federal funding? And
that's still our tax dollars.
It's an ideological thing, though. If I wanted to have a Christian prom because I'm a Christian, I think that would be cool. But you know what? I don't think it would be right for me to ask or have any county entity to pay for it. I don't care if it's $2 or $200. What it is, it's not about the dollar amount. It's about saying, hey, look, we support this ideological thing, which, it's essentially your guys. I don't want to loop you into everybody, but
no, I understand. I don't take offense.
It's your guys' religion to love everybody, but when you love everybody, it still hurts people.
I gotta say,
Go ahead.
Religion is an interesting word there because so like we don't have a spiritual set of beliefs that cause us to have these ideas, right? The idea of supporting people, no matter what their identity is, comes out of an empirical understanding of the fact that when you support those people, they have longer lives and better health outcomes, and they contribute to society better, and they're less of a drain on our healthcare system, and all that's like those are hard data that we have that says like
I mean, this is America, and the way I look at it, like as far as loving these people, I do love these people, and I tell everybody that I go out to when I've spoken with you at the protests multiple times, and I'm always very kind to these people. Well, except for that one time I yelled at everybody. But I do love these people, but in the same sense that I'm glad that they're out there. This is America. They can be anything that they want. I don't care what you're doing. The kids bother me. Like, don't talk to the kids about this stuff. Let the kids have their innocent. Like, I wasn't learning this shit in the 90s.
No.
In the 80s and 90s. It's a new thing. And I think it's not good for our society because it's like anybody who doesn't 100% support this, well, now you're hateful. Now you're a bigot. Now you're a Nazi. Now you're a fascist.
I disagree with that. I disagree that that's true. I don't think that people should be saying that. I think that if someone had, because here's the thing, if someone had a values-based disagreement, right? Like one of the things I agree with y'all on is that I actually don't think there should be county dollars going to any community events, right? Unless it's an expressly county-oriented thing, like a 4th of July picnic. Cool, that's a federal holiday. We can all get behind county tax dollars on a 4th of July picnic. Yeah. Social, like regular other community stuff, I don't really see the point of having county dollars on it. However, if we had a values-based critique, right, of the all ages drag show, then we could have a conversation about that. But what I'm trying to see if we're tracking together is what I'm hearing is that y'all feel that it's the case that these people will do something wrong, even though we're operating off of quite a few assumptions.
No, I don't believe that. No, I do not believe that we're going off the assumption that somebody's going to do something wrong.
I don't really appreciate that you're projecting your assumptions onto me. You're assuming that I'm assuming something.
Well, I've pointed out several assumptions, and nobody is like acknowledged them.
Possible. You're saying that I am assuming something bad's going to go on. Therefore, you're assuming that I'm assuming that these are bad people. That's not the case. I'm saying, why is the county paying for this? And secondly, it's overt sexualization. It's misogyny.
It's not necessarily overt sexualization. We don't know. We're not in there. And like I'm saying, just like the whole reason I brought up
you can't actually say that it's not because you're not there now. If you're not actually viewing it now, you are making assumptions about what it is going to be. I've been to enough of these things to know that there's overt sexualization. That's kind of what it's about, because you're pointing out, you're flaunting the fact that you're dressing up as somebody else and trying to look sexy. And most guys don't really pull it off well, even though I've seen some that were really good. But the whole point is that you're basically saying I have assumptions, and I'm saying, how can you do that? You cannot project what my assumptions are. You can't say what my assumptions are. You're just jumping to that conclusion. So please.
I apologize. I didn't want to make it seem like I was making that kind of accusation. That's entirely not my project here.
But can I interject? I'm not assuming nothing. Anyone who has to dress flamboyantly as a woman, mocking a woman as far as I'm concerned, and having to do it in front of an audience of children, I think there is a higher risk of impropriety just by the sheer act of what's going on alone.
The operative word
and
there,
this
Rob,
is not something
that
would. This is not something that would happen at church at service. The priest isn't going to openly do something sexually overt during the service. I've been to thousands of church services. Never happened. But I've been to plenty of drag shows, and I've seen plenty of overtly sexual things that they do, even children won't get. I mean, we have cartoons where they'll have innuendos into cartoons that adults will get, but children won't get because they're not old enough. Well, that's happening at these shows, and that in itself is a sexual content that I don't think any child should be exposed to. And that's where we have the disagreement on this one.
So if you're saying that it's expressly harmful, let's say for the sake of a hypothetical, okay, that it is not even that bad, right? But it's still cross-dressing, and it's still pageantry, and it's still makeup and weirdness, right? Let's say it's just a comedy show, maybe some song and dance, and there's nothing super overtly sexual, no talk about sexual acts, but just like costumes and comedy. Would you still consider that to be harmful to kids?
And it depends on the content in which it's being done. If it's not being done in an adult environment, number one. Number two, at a prom, which just by the sheer definition of a prom means it's sexual, because the word prom comes from the promenade, meaning that this is when young men and young women become adults. And usually, like I said in the last Monday show, because a lot of people lost their virginity on prom, it has to do with sexuality. The fact that it's also being done on February 14th, the Day of Love, which also implies a form of sexuality. Yes, I think there's enough innuendos on this to say that there is something very weird going on that children, at least under the age of 16, should not be exposed to, just like I would have a problem taking a child to an X-rated movie or an R-rated movie. That's why they have those ratings.
That's where I was circling as well. It's like, remember back in the days when it used to be G and PG-13 and R and then hard R and then X? And it's like, okay, so just from what the poster had, it looks like this should be at least a hard R, if not an X. And it's like, so if it was a PG-13, I'd say, okay, so long as the kids are 13 and they're with parental guidance, PG being parental guidance, then okay, prove that you brought your parent with you or somebody who is going to look out for you. And I've got no problem. Like I said, my biggest problem is the county's paying for this or sponsoring this. They shouldn't be doing that. What are they going to sponsor next? Right. Should they sponsor a TPUSA event? Because I'm sure that would go over real well with you, because weren't you protesting the TPUSA event? Why is that? Because they want people to be able to think for themselves and talk rationally about subjects. And and there you are mocking me already.
I'm sorry, that took me by surprise. I apologize.
I would like to say that.
Have you actually watched? How many TPUSA events have you actually watched?
I watched yours all the way through.
I would like to say this. As somebody who goes down to every Democrat protest that I can, like sometimes they do impromptu ones so they can trick me so I don't show up. That's what I think happens. But anyway, I've interacted with Emily a bunch of times. I've had so many great conversations with a lot of people. I've had some people, assault me and freak out on me and whatever. But I'm gonna say the way that the protesters behaved, like I don't want to say behaved, because they're not dogs, but the way that they were, dude, I loved it. I think they were very peaceful. I think they they had some good music, some very talented musicians. I was out there for most of it. I actually, what happened? I ended up going back and forth to Coney Station, grabbing a beer, and then coming back out quite a few times. It was a good time. But yeah, no, I interacted with a lot of them, and it was excellent. They, better than at the boardwalk, I'd say.
Thank you. I worked really hard, and a lot of people did. We had and Chris was at one of our meetings, and then we had another meeting. Can I address something that's been really bugging me about that event? Is that I sat in the Democrats' monthly meeting 2 days before the event, and we spent about it must have been 30 minutes of our meeting debating, how we could demonstrate our support to the Egyptian as a party on a local level in a meaningful way, because we can't believe how people have been treating Jill, and it's abhorrent. There's no reason why anyone should be throwing rocks or bricks or whatever. There's no reason why anyone should be like, look, if people want to boycott on their personal dollar, fine, man, whatever. It seems kind of silly considering we've had drag shows and a TPUSA event at the same look, if you want to boycott, whatever. Some folks were saying, we think it'd be more intelligent if we, paid the Egyptian to air a movie that we want to see or an event that we're interested in, right? But I get told a lot in this community that the Democrats were calling for Jill's death or whatever, and I genuinely don't understand the when it's liberal left-leaning people, we really get lumped into one whole thing. And we spend a lot of energy worrying about how we were going to demonstrate our support, and to this day we're still being accused of the death threats and the vandalism and the mean-spirited, nasty, horrible, ornery nonsense that who's even doing that?
Wait a minute,
okay,
Emily.
I want to add this. You guys, a lot of you guys are getting blamed for the actions of the extreme few, which is the exact same thing that Democrats get fed about conservatives and right wingers. The extreme few. There's a point in the middle where most of us actually are. We just want to be left alone. And but we're not hearing about those stories. That's not what shows up. The stuff that's feeding our brains and feeding our fears of the other side is that, with the extreme sides. And there's always a middle, and we need to find that. I think that's more important.
That would be ideal, in my opinion, for lots of folks to kind of moderate towards the center. I think from my part, I find it difficult because I feel like because I'm center left. Let me say this very, very strongly on air. I fucking hate communists.
Nice.
Okay? I want that to be extremely clear. Yeah. Communists are fucking retarded, and they're not Americans. Okay, right. But at the same time, I think that on the very far end of y'all's faction, right? At the very far end of my faction, there's people who I hate and think aren't Americans, and I fight with those people. And at the very far end of y'all's faction, there are people who I hate and I think aren't Americans, but I don't feel like y'all are fighting y'all's. What's up with that?
Who are you talking about?
Like Stephen Miller.
What makes Stephen Miller extreme right?
Well, that's an interesting question. Did y'all watch Charlie Kirk's memorial?
Yeah.
Big service they had down in, was it Phoenix? Was it Tucson? Yeah. I forget.
I
listened to the whole thing. I don't know if y'all know about this, but let me just put it this way. I don't think that it's right that the far left has been waving the word Nazi around for the last 30 years the way they've been doing it. Very silly thing to be doing, wearing out the word Nazi, okay?
Right.
Wearing out the word fascist, wearing out the word authoritarian. Because now when Stephen Miller has direct parallelisms to the propaganda director of the Nazi Party's speeches, the word Nazi is like no one can hear it, right? Like Stephen Miller wrote and gave a speech that directly echoed speeches by Goebbels, or Goebbels, if you want to sound like a German.
Yeah, and then let's go back to the last 8 years of what the Democrats were doing when they were doing exactly what the Nazis were doing. And nobody calls them Nazis because they have 100% media
doing
coverage.
Exactly what, Marty?
Nobody ever calls them out for being Nazis or fascists or controlling the media or censoring what people say or can do. So no, so you made some sort of illusion that Stephen Miller's speech was coming right out of Goebbels' mouth. He was being a Nazi propagator. He was making up this whole Nazi thing. So you're calling him a Nazi at the same time saying you shouldn't be using the word Nazi. So are you going to admit you're a hypocrite? And by the way, is it okay to spit out a Jeep? Is
Yeah.
this what you call like, okay, and why is it okay? So you say, okay, you don't throw a brick, but spitting on a Jeep is okay.
It's not
So
property damage.
more hypocrites.
It's a gesture.
It's hypocrisy. So
No, a
you're doing,
gesture is a middle finger. Spitting is an actual act that actually
it is,
causes
it can actually
something.
be, yeah.
And you know what? If you want me to, I'll ask forgiveness for it. But
Okay. But I got a
Don't
question for
say
you,
it.
Emily. And granted, I was surprised that you used Stephen Miller, because there are people on the far right that I would never defend, and I'd be more than happy to talk about. But the thing is that this guy in the picture, you know who he is. He's Sal Carruthers. You said it yourself. You talked him out of being a Democrat PCP. I don't know why, because I think he has
not
a
I
right.
personally. But I believe someone in the party, they let me know that they asked him if he'd withdraw his bid to become a PCP.
Why?
I think that we were looking to separate ourselves from people who are causing public outcry and causing public problems, especially with regards to someone who's got a history of some form of sexual crime that we don't understand or know about. That's not safe for us, and that's not safe.
Can I say this? Sorry to interrupt, but the fact that you made a comment on that Facebook post he made about me saying, "Hey, TJ is," I think you called me neighborly. I really respect that, Emily, and that's why I come out there to all those protests. I'm not out there to stir up problems. I'm trying to keep our community having conversations like this. And that's why I go out there all the time. And I mean, I've been labeled as an instigator and stuff like this, and saying that I want to have a YouTube channel. I don't actually want to have a YouTube channel. I post videos so my daughter can see them when she gets older. I have videos of my wife and I, me proposing to my wife. I have videos of her opening her Christmas presents. My channel is just videos so that I can show my daughter when she gets older. This whole me going to protests has just skyrocketed for some reason unintentionally. And but I've always said to everybody out there, I just want to have conversations with you guys so that our community does not fall apart. I'm not out there to cause anybody problems. And I told you that I think Greg was a big problem. And I talked to Greg at the TP USA event, and him and I squashed the beef. Him and I actually went into the event together, and I told him, I'm like, just quit telling people I'm out there to mess with them or make them look bad or anything like that, because I'm not. I come out there with peace and with love and with grace. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate you keeping everybody calm at the TP USA event, and talking to everybody and telling. And I really appreciate that comment that you made, saying that I was, I think neighborly, I think is the adjective you used. But yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. I'm glad that you saw it and that it was heartwarming for you.
And the funny thing is, Emily, is that with all of our different agreements on how we see the drag show, the all ages, this event, you and all of us on here agree on the same thing, that it shouldn't have been funded by the county. And
I think that was a quick way for them to get themselves into a bunch of outrage. I didn't see the point of it.
But here's the reason why they did it, Emily. And this is the reason we got mad, and Chris proved it, because during the meeting, he pulled out $10, and I knew what he was doing, and I pulled out $10, and we were willing to pay for the $200. And Drew Farmer, the commissioner, refused to change the agenda item so that we could just take a vote on the agenda item to remove Coos Health and Wellness as the preferred or featured partner, as it says there on the poster. And he refused to pass that agenda item and accept our $200, because we could have raised $200 there very easily. If it would have taken all $200, I would have paid for it. I just wanted our name removed. And this is really why they wanted it, is what I believe is they wanted the Coos Health and Wellness on there because it gives drag shows like that legitimacy, and people like me don't see it as legitimate. And that disagreement that you and I have, that's why I don't want my name on it as far as Coos Health and Wellness. And that's exactly why they do want that name on there. So somehow they can say, oh, look, everyone in Coos County enjoys all age drag shows, when I would bet if you took it to the voter, the majority of us would vote against it. And that's my problem with it, Emily.
I can see why that might be a problem for you. And trust me, like I said, I don't think that you're operating outside of your rights as an American to disapprove. Okay. I don't want to sound like I think that you should approve. I don't think that's not what I think. I do think that there's a lot of conversations to be had about the degree to which it is a concern, right? And the degree to which, and like I said, we don't know who these people are, right? So they could be fine and they could be not fine. Either thing is possible. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. So, and we're talking about a small town of people who, and you could probably imagine growing up being queer in this town is probably not the most welcoming town in the world to grow up and have that as a part of your life, right? We're not exactly the most progressive county in the whole country. And I'm sure you could imagine that growing up your whole life, and experiencing that kind of, rejection and frustration and, confusion about like, well, do I belong here? And am I even free to like live my life as I choose? Do I have that liberty? Will my neighbors turn on me? Like, those are all things that like people who grew up here as adults, like they now are able to go and like celebrate themselves and celebrate each other as a community. And while I think there is a conversation to be had about like whether the gay community is celebrating identities or celebrating sexuality, because I think there's a distinction there. I think it's true that in a small town like ours, we can just go to the event. We can just make sure that if people are being untoward, that we can be present in the room and be a positive force for good. I don't see any reason why anyone who wants to attend, and as long as just the way I was right outside of y'all's event, being peaceful and expressing the way I felt and not interrupting and just being a joyful American, I don't see any reason why folks can't go have a fun at the dance and just, keep their eyes open and see what's going on for themselves. I think I saw Steve Nye was planning on going, and he's neighborly.
Can I go and live stream it and as like maybe county accountability to see where our tax dollars are going, and I can show the whole thing so everybody in the county can know what's going on.
Appropriate to stream the performance. I think that would be appropriate, but I think we all agree that it's not quite right to put kids' faces on the internet in a video.
Well, and you know what? And whenever I'm down at the protest on the boardwalk interviewing y'all, I always avoid putting kids on there.
I remember now. Mm-hmm.
But at an event that's all ages, if there is a performance, I feel like I should be able to show that there are children present.
Maybe from behind, like get their little short heads in there. I can imagine that. And now here's the thing. I'll say this.
I think the whole county would appreciate that. I would go around, show the mocktails. I don't know why they didn't just call it juice, like we're providing beverages. But
it feels fancy. It feels fun.
No, I think here's what it is. I think Coos Health and Wellness, in order to get the taxpayer dollars from the state, in order to be able to do this, they had to write a requisition form. And on there, they had to write mocktails, and they had to write like scientific study says kids will drink less or something like that. That was their their way to negotiate the dollars from the government or the state government. So I think that's what happened. And so they had to call it mocktail. But I don't believe any of that bullshit about like it's going to help kids quit drinking. No, just give them Kool-Aid and punch or whatever. Give them punch. Like you don't have to call it a mocktail.
While we're at it, let's give them candy cigarettes, and let's give them candy syringes, or let's give them fake syringes, and let's give them let's give them like spoons so they can heat up their fake heroin, And let's just do all that. And I don't know why you're saying, oh well, we can't show any children, but it's okay for the children to be there. You just
Well, yeah, it's okay for the children to be there, but it's not okay for you to put their identity and their image on the internet without. We
Right, and
understand
I'd even be
expectations for
willing
those things.
to. I'd even be willing to put like blurs over them or whatever, so you don't actually see them, but people would know they're kids.
I'll be honest with you, TJ. Here's my thing. I know Steve and I is going to be there, and I know that he is going to be there in a capacity of watchful safety. I also believe that he's not going to be doing anything interruptive. He's a sociable person. I do think that when we're talking about people who are carving out a space to celebrate together, that filming the folks at the celebration seems a little intrusive. I can imagine the show, like the performance,
You don't
rightfully.
think anybody there? You don't think anybody attending is going to be filming anything?
Well, I think they probably will, but they're part of the group, right? They feel safe together. They don't feel threatened by each other. Does that make sense?
So my
How can
presence
it be
is
part
a
of the
threat.
group if not everyone there is going to know each other, even if they're part of the community, they may still not know each other. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, like, TJ's a bit of a public figure
Yeah.
at this point, and so are you, and so am I at this point. And hello, and so I think that to the point that these are people who are trying to enjoy themselves, and it's a party. Like I wouldn't go to the high school prom. I'm saying, Marty, your microphone is cutting out a little.
That was walking in front of people and taking pictures of everybody's face, that was standing in line to go into the theater. That wasn't intrusive. So
There's not children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
actually,
so-
we
We're
had
talking about the
children in
children.
line. This is what happened, Emily. We had children in line at the Turning Point event, and there was a guy there. He had a ponytail. You probably saw him.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
he
think
was
I might have-
walking around with the camera, and he was showing all the kids at our events. He had no problem showing the kids at our events,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry to
yet
hear
we're
that.
supposed to say we can't show their event, which I agree with you. We shouldn't, but then
I
that
agree.
should be fair play for us as well. You shouldn't be showing kids from our events, and they do that as an intimidation tactic. And when I say they, I'm saying the left trying not to include you, because I know you don't want to be included with those
You can
extremists.
say
but
the
yet
left. That's fine.
that
I
was
don't
part
mind.
of your group, though. He was in with your protesters at your
Well, he drove
protest.
down from Newport.
Right.
I don't
But
know
he
that
was
guy.
part of it. That's why he came.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I don't think he should be filming kids either. I'll tell him the
Yeah.
same shit. Like, I don't think that him doing something wrong or untoward or inappropriate slightly means that, like, we should.
Right. Right. No, two
Right.
wrongs don't make a right. And
Right.
certainly if someone went in there, I would even tell someone, because, okay, like at karate events that I used to go to with my son, it was always weird to have these people come in and filming your kid doing all these different things and stuff. It's just awkward. So even things like that is just a little bit strange. So I think people need to consider kids' privacy, especially in today's world where everyone can be canceled for just no good reason whatsoever,
Oh, not as much the last 10 years.
Every sporting event I've ever been to as a kid was being filmed by somebody, by numerous people, cross country, wrestling, football, basketball, hockey, soccer. There was always people filming because they want to see their kid. Now, if they catch other kids in it, well, that's what team sports are all about. And now you're saying, well, you can't come to our event because you're an outsider and
That's
you're
not what I
going to
said.
be. Yes, you did.
I do-
You
I
basically
said-
I
said-
do.
I think PJ knows what I mean.
I will agree to her point. Like, people know who I am now,
Oh, yeah.
and they're bothered by my presence. Like, my mere presence is
And I apologize that
essentially.
that's on them, and I don't think that's fair to you personally.
Yeah,
I get the
I
same
don't.
thing.
Well, I mean, and
Other
I'm
people
I'm
swear and
always
they
nice
just-
to everybody. At the beginning of every single one of my streams, before I even walk over to the boardwalk, I pray for everybody over at the boardwalk. I say I pray for their grace and their understanding, and their patience, and I pray for my patience and my grace. And before every time I walk over to the boardwalk, before I get out of my car, I pray for everybody right on my live stream. You know, like I don't mean any harm to any of you. And it's just like I've been labeled as a problem. And I don't think that's fair.
I don't think it's fair to you because like I'll stand by what I said. I think you're neighborly. But this seems like a good opportunity to address some of the stuff that people are complaining that I used the word fascism. And I want to, because we didn't fully address the communists and the fascists, right? Because we both have extremists in our party, right? We have extremists, and and that's every party's got extremists. Every country in the world's got extremists, right? And my complaint still is that when we talk about the center and the right, and we talk about moderates on the Republican side, I wish, and now let me start by saying, I wish to high fucking heaven that Democrats would tell communists to shut the fuck up. And largely, lucky for us, communists don't think voting matters, so they don't fucking vote for anything. And in fact, they leech our numbers out of the polls thinking voting doesn't matter. But fascists think voting matters a lot. And I don't hear people addressing the fascistic like policy movements in the administration in the moderate right. I hear them carrying water for those things, and I hear them defending them.
What fascistic, what fascist policies are you talking
what policy?
about? What you're casting wide aspersions. You're calling people names, and now let's get specific.
Calling people names, Marty. Calling people names, Marty. I said fascistic policy moves.
What are the fascist policy moves?
First, I want you to tell me that you just accused me of calling names when I didn't.
You basically said that the people on the right are setting up these fascist or fascist policy moves. And I'm like going, okay, so you called them fascists. So you are calling people names. So how can you retract that? How can you say you didn't say that? Because you said that they have fascist policy maneuvers. Okay, so enumerate. Tell me exactly what you mean, because you just called them a name. And don't say, I didn't call them a name, because you just did.
It's not a name. It's a descriptor.
It's a name.
Let me put it this way.
Okay, you can paint it any way you want, but a name is.
I mean, I'm calling you a Republican because you vote Republican. That's the same thing.
I'm actually
fascism is as fascism does, right?
I'm actually
we're talking about fascism.
Libertarian than I'm a Republican, but
I was a libertarian at one point too. Rather, listen, we're talking about the ultra. You don't want the government in your life, Marty?
Not no, not in the least. They haven't done.
We agree on quite a lot.
At all. They don't help me out at all.
Well, that's just not true.
But we can a buttload of money to hate me. So,
anyway, would someone let Emily speak? I'm waiting for her to speak. Please, Marty.
So enumerate.
Absolutely. So when we talk about fascism, we're talking about the ultra-revolutionary nationalist, us versus them mentality, right? Where we essentially militarize the culture, right? This is the classic definition here. And then that consolidates power into the executive. Now, it's true that in the United States of America, we've been consolidating power into the executive at a much slower rate since about Nixon, right? Presidents have been more and more ruling by executive order and more leeching power of the purse away from Congress. But to the degree that it was like there was still some decorum and ceremony circumstance that has had quite a lot of staying power for a lot of presidents, right? And so I don't agree with the expansion of the executive. I think that the executive should be balanced by the Congress and by the courts. And I think that that's how it was designed in the original Constitution. And that's how our framers wanted to see it. And that's how the Federalist Papers line it out. And that's how I want it to stay.
Yeah, and they're actually trying to get more back to the Constitution because the judges and the the judicial has overstepped its bounds, and the legislative have overstepped their bounds.
How?
So actually, now they're trying to claw back what the executive is supposed to be able to do.
Oh,
And
supposed
so,
to be able to do.
well, because that's what the three phases of government is all about. They're supposed to be a balancing act. So one of them does the job of the executive, one of them does the job of legislating, and the other one does the job of doing the judicial stuff. But when you get rogue judges that are not following the law and not following the Constitution, and you get you get congressional people, especially at the Oregon level, the state level, and even at the federal level, where they are not following the Constitution, they're violating the Constitution, and they're violating the letter of the law, and they're actually actively conspiring and being seditious, then, I think it's like, unless you've been in a coma for the last 4 years, you've got to know about the huge overreach that's been going on for quite a long time.
I was just going to say, so hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me interject here a minute. The presidency, the power of the presidency has been growing immensely under the last 50 years because Congress has acquiesced its authority. And yes, we need to get back to Congress having more oversight over the president. So you don't have these rogue presidents on the right or the left, doesn't matter. And I agree that the presidency has grown beyond what it should be. However, instead of talking in the vague generals of that, tell us the policy, the exact policy that you think is fascist and that the president is overstepping his bounds on.
So I think that when we talk about the fascist policies, we have to talk about the playbook that's being used, right? Because look, Donald Trump's not retarded, okay? He's calculated. He's doing what he's doing on purpose. And so we're talking about people who know that it's important to fly a little tiny bit under the radar if they want to get something done, right? And that's a normal thing that Donald Trump talks about out loud. He's like, look, we're going to get it done the way I see fit, right? Not necessarily by the book. Donald Trump plays his own game. And a lot of people really like that about him. When we're talking about this slightly, I'm going to call it sneaky. Is that okay? I'm going to go with slightly sneaky stuff. So I would love it if violent illegal immigrants were ejected from my country. That would be beautiful. Love it. I would love it if it was really difficult to just walk into my country without anybody noticing. That would be great. Beautiful. A secure border is a national security concern. All in agreement on that. However, I think that federal agencies should be good at their jobs. Now, the ultra-revolutionary nationalism, right? With the militarization of culture. This is the scholarly fucking college going ass person definition of fascism, right? What we're looking at is a deliberate and clearly clownish failure to target specifically illegal immigrants with a crime record, right? We're seeing some just.
So how is that fascist? You haven't told us how that's.
Would you like me to finish?
Sure, go for it. But get to it without all the college mumbo jumbo. Get to the exact point. How is it fascist?
To enforce laws.
What's more fascist than armed, masked goons in the streets with unitary executive immunity, able to do as they please, as they see fit, no accountability for any of their actions?
That's not true. That's not
happening. Do you believe claims without evidence?
Wait. Let me give you the.
That's not happening, Emily.
the same laugh you gave me.
That's a good impression, Marty.
That's insane. That's
a great impression, Marty. You're doing great.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just emulating you. The way you derisively
laugh. You should do you got other impressions?
Yeah, I'm doing a great impression.
So that's just not true. Doesn't cut it for me. Evidence.
No, it isn't true because there is what's going on has oversight. There is oversight on everything that the DOJ is doing. The courts have oversight on it. The feds have oversight on it. They're going through the process.
So why are there no investigations of misconduct?
There are investigations going on right now. There are investigations going on right now.
You are getting your news from the people that have been lying to you.
I'm getting my news from C-SPAN, Marty. Blow a dog, man.
I mean, there were news directly from the source. The Department of Justice is actually saying, here's the people who we are investigating for.
Under Obama, there were 964 allegations of sexual assault in the detainment camps. Yeah, only 3 of them were investigated.
Prove it. Let me see.
Well, once again, you're asking us to prove these specifics that we haven't had time to go into and do that investigation. But I can tell you right now, the same process that Trump is using was used by the former president, and it did have oversight. It just takes time for that oversight to go through. But let's take that to another level. You said in one of your videos that Turning Point USA, and this goes back to our event, was a fascist propaganda group, something to that effect in your video, that they were fascist. That's why we were bringing in Maureen O'Bannon. How is it doing our Turning Point event? What was it that was fascist about the event? Exactly.
Supporting fascistic policies is unacceptable.
What policy?
What we were just talking about.
But
so the reason why
what you're saying. What exactly about Turning Point USA is fascist?
No.
Why are they fascist? You said they're fascist.
They support fascists.
Anytime. And so far, all your things have been, these are the facts that I know, but you have no corroborating evidence. And then when we say,
if I give you corroborating evidence, will you play it on air?
Sure.
Certainly.
Great. Let's do that.
Source.
Sure. Now, here's the thing.
But your whole argument has been, well, if we come up with something, you're going, well, prove it. You can't prove it.
Because I'm asking you to show me what your evidence of your claims are.
And we're supposed to take
we're asking you to prove the evidence of the claims, and you have no more facts than anything
I would love
else.
to do a fact versus fact. Let's do it. You look. I'm sure your viewers don't want to watch us all typing and looking.
I'm sure they don't.
We organize.
So what was it at the Turning Point event? What was said? I mean, we said a couple of prayers. We said a few things. What was it exactly that we did that was fascist, that deserved to have all of that threatening going on, all that vandalism going on, and then your protest going on? Why did we deserve all of that ire when all we did was go there and do a couple of prayers and say some inspirational words?
TPUSA is an expressly Christian nationalist organization. And when I say Christian nationalism, what I mean is that it espouses dominion theory, which is the belief that Christians should be the only people who are running the country. They are the only moral actors. I don't even think that...
you're casting generalizations. So
I'm quoting TPUSA's platform.
So every single person that goes to a TPUSA event is exactly the same kind of person. So therefore, we can say the people that are the worst people in the world going to this children's show and this drag show, that's exactly how everybody's going to be. Because that's the generalization that you just made about TPUSA.
Sure, man.
Hey, they're Christian nationalists, which means they're all fascists. And it's like, no.
When I say, can you hear when I'm talking, can you hear the structure of my sentence? When I said that TPUSA is an expressly Christian nationalist organization, I didn't say, you, Marty, you're a Christian nationalist. That's how I sound, right?
I said exactly what you said. You said TPUSA is a Christian nationalist organization, and therefore they are fascist. And I'm saying you're casting...
I said they support fascists. They're supporting fascist policies. I think that the fascists are the people who are in charge and running the government and enacting the policies, and they have power and authority.
Okay, you guys are...
I'm sorry.
Whoa, everyone hold on. Gentlemen, ladies, one at a time. One at a time, Marty. So, Marty, go ahead and go first. Make your point, and then we'll let Emily go.
No, I've already made my point. She just basically said herself, she said TPUSA is a Christian nationalist organization and they're fascist. And I was saying you're casting generalizations about everybody that goes to TPUSA events because that's why, you're saying you're using generalizations to to put a bad light on everybody.
You're putting words in my mouth, brother. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But you make yourself sound silly. I'm saying that Christian nationalism
out of your mouth exactly like that. So I'm not putting words in your mouth. You're doing it yourself.
I'm sorry.
So Emily, what he's saying is exactly what I heard. You said that Turning Point supports fascist. And so I would take it that anyone who's a member of Turning Point supports those same fascists. So they're all the same is what you're saying, right?
I'm saying that supporting fascism is unacceptable.
And what is that fascism again?
The ultra-revolutionary nationalism urge to consolidate the power of the executive and to, usually by means of the creation of an us versus them mentality. And that definition sticks to all the examples of fascism that we have throughout history, right?
So this would be an ultra-Christian nation, right? Is that they're trying, these fascists are trying to create this ultra-Christian nation where only Christians would be allowed. And now, would this be white Christians, or how are these Christians doing this?
The Trump presidency is like post-racist, and so as long as you're like culturally within the bounds of like what you like being a bootlicker, then they don't care what color you are. So like what I'm seeing is like a genuine like grapple of what used to be good family-oriented conservative values. We used to have conservatives in this country, and I haven't met one in a long time. People who believe that the government should be smaller. Don't you think the government should be smaller, TJ?
Yeah.
Then why is it getting bigger? People who think that the budget should get balanced. Don't you think the budget should get balanced, TJ? Then why is the budget not balanced, man?
Trillions of dollars of that budget are fraud. USAID and all the money that we give to foreign nations doesn't go to the foreign nations. It doesn't go to give anybody.
You have no proof of that claim.
All this foreign aid?
Why?
Yes. Listen, all this.
I've been working with data Republicans.
I don't think we should help anybody till we help ourselves. That's how I feel. I don't care about the rest of the world. Just help us.
And my question to you, Emily, would be, that was happening. Everything that you described, our budgets are getting bigger. The president's power is expanding. That's been happening since before I was born. So every president, I guess, has been a fascist because they've all have tried to consolidate more and more power under the presidency, is what you're saying, right?
I think that it's a kind of a mistake of scale, right? So like each president since Nixon has taken us a liberty here and a liberty there, all of which was wrong, right? Reagan, Clinton. Actually, Clinton balanced the budget. The last person to have a budget deficit. It was incredible. Not to speak of Miss Lewinsky. However, the degree to which, so when we say if I did one wrong thing and then my neighbor did 100 wrong things, we could both be in the wrong, but one of us should go to prison for a long time and one of us should have a criminal misdemeanor or something, right? The degree to which the norms are being destroyed is very alarming. Okay, I don't necessarily believe that our institutions work perfectly. I was actually kind of excited about the project that Doge was claiming to roll out, where they were going to go through everything, make it efficient, make it work better, make it faster, make it more money efficient. I was so excited about that. From where I'm standing right now, gentlemen, it all seems like total pretense. It all seems like total pretense. The 2020 election hurt Donald Trump's feelings really, really bad. And he's just taking it out on all of us, man.
So you think
I don't see it that way, because I see some of his policies are beneficial. But the thing is, let's get back to the nationalist Christians, and Trump is creating. I guess what you're saying is Trump is building the empire.
I think Stephen Miller's building the empire.
Stephen Miller is building the empire. And Trump's going to be the emperor, or is Stephen Miller the emperor in this Christian nationalist world?
Well, Trump's probably not going to make it another year, is he? I don't think he's doing so good.
What do you think is going to take Trump out?
Well, is he walking around?
Ain't he ancient?
Is he walking around mumbling like Biden did and walking?
Yeah, man, they're both old as shit. I don't think anybody that old should be the fucking president.
prove
Well,
it.
then
Listen,
so
man,
you're
Biden was
thinking.
not
So
a
do
fucking
you think
bad
that they're
president.
going to get rid of? Well, wait a minute, Emily. Do you think they're going to get rid of the elections? Is this how they're going to take over the country? Do you think it's going to evolve into civil war? I guess Christian nationalist against everyone else.
More what I expect to happen is I expect that the federal government will earn quite a lot of not earn will gain access to state voter rolls, and that they will make sure that people like me who disagree with their policies have a lot of legal trouble before we can get to vote, right? I think it's going to be targeted opposition squishing.
Oh, you mean like what's been going on for the last 4 years of Biden? You know,
Being
people being
banned
arrested.
from X is not opposition squishing, Marty.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Being
arrested
deplatformed
and
on
thrown in
social
jail.
media is not a
Being arrested and
fucking
thrown in jail
First
without
Amendment
any-
right
no
violation.
counsel and nobody. There's no counsel and nobody got to see a lawyer, and they were thrown
Who?
in jail for over a year. So
Who?
yeah, no, they're not. And how about Tina Peters? What did Tina Peters do wrong exactly? Oh, she exposed corruption in the Colorado elections. She got a 9-year sentence. She's actually been exonerated of that, and they've proven that she did nothing wrong, but yet she's still in jail. That's exactly how they suppress people saying your elections have been rigged. I do a lot of data work for computer machines, election machines across the nation.
I'm sure you
And I
do.
can tell you exactly how they're being ripped off, and I can tell you exactly how the elections are being ripped off because that's the kind of computer forensic work I do and did for a living. So if you say anything else, that means you're not actually intelligent enough to understand what the problem is because you don't have the education for it.
If
So-
that's the case, brother, then why did Fox lose the Dominion lawsuit? Marty?
And why did, I mean, we could go on with this for hours because
No. I know. Absolutely not. You're not squirreling your way out of this one.
Squirreling my way out of what?
You
If
mean
the
like you
voting
not answering the
machine-
question on a specific policy?
Which one?
I get it.
Let me answer that question first before I readdress my
Yeah,
point.
she keeps
Which question did I
dodging-
miss?
she keeps dodging answers all the time. But
Which
that's
one did
okay.
I miss?
She can do it.
If you can't even remember, it must not have been a very important question. Listen, man, if the voting machines are provably jacked up and crooked, why did Fox News lose a libel lawsuit against the Dominion Voting Machines Company?
I'll tell you why, Emily, because sometimes courts get it wrong. And I'm sure you've had courts you think have gotten the decision wrong.
Sure, of course. But like criminal investigations are usually pretty thorough. Do we agree on
And they
that?
still get it wrong.
Right.
And
So-
I believe they got it wrong.
Oh,
in
so we
this
just
case.
can't know anything. So we're just going to assume that you're right and I'm wrong. Got it.
Nobody's assuming anything.
Yeah.
We know that
Well,
courts get it
going in
wrong.
that
You
direction
just
is right.
said that courts
You'd
get
like
it
to-
wrong. We
Right,
both
but-
agreed on that.
But when Tina Peters gets charged, I'm in the wrong. And then when Dominion, is vilified, vindicated, I'm in the wrong. And then, when Trump v. USA is,
Yeah.
protecting the president from I'm in the wrong. I see how, I
That's
get it,
our
I get it.
opinions,
I get it,
though.
I
That's
get it.
our opinions. We're
Right.
allowed
It's
to
your
those
opinion.
opinions.
It's not the truth.
Well, no, we don't know what the
Absolutely.
truth is because you and I
The
were
courts have
there. We
absolutely
don't
been
know.
weaponized against Trump supporters. I mean, they arrested Trump's lawyers. I mean, the courts
Trump's
have
lawyers got
100%
arrested for
been
doing criminal acts. Are we
right.
tracking
Such
that?
as? What exact criminal? What
Inciting
exact
a riot.
act did they do?
Rudy
What exact
Giuliani got
criminal acts
arrested.
did they do?
Hang on. You haven't read the Jack Smith indictment?
And Jack Smith just got indicted too, right?
Too. Yeah, Jack
No,
Smith just got
it's called a
indicted, too.
deposition. He wasn't indicted. It was a deposition.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
The difference is an indictment means you did something wrong. A deposition means we want to know information.
and that
By the way,
information
Dominion-
could lead to an indictment. So we'll see.
Dominion voting just
Jack
had
Smith
to go
isn't
sell their
being
business.
investigated for any criminal action.
Dominion's going to be running for cover. They actually had to sell the company because they know that once that goes into appeals, they are going to get not only their money back, but they're going to get run into the ground. So
It's settled.
So let me ask you, Rain. So the president isn't going to seize power through military force. He's going to use lawfare and bad elections.
I absolutely think he will use military force. I mean, he's already doing that. He's killed 2 American citizens.
Two American citizens who were interfering in a police process. They probably.
I'll grant you, Renee Good might have. You could interpret Renee Good as interfering in a law enforcement operation.
Oh no, it was. I saw the video.
Right. How was Alex Preddy? How was Alex?
He was walking into where the police were
harassing a woman that they had no right to harass, that they had no business touching.
He had no business to harass them.
Exactly. Look, I have a question for you, Rob.
Can I say this? I want to say this. Okay, so Minnesota statute 609.066 says that if a vehicle is even approaching a law enforcement official, and you guys can Google this.
That's why I granted Renee Good. I don't want to talk about Renee Good.
Yeah, this is the Renee Good thing, and then that is considered a law enforcement officer is allowed to use deadly force.
Yeah,
if the vehicle is even approaching them, and in the case of Alex Preddy, you are according to Minnesota state law, which I don't think is equal to the Second Amendment of the Constitution. I think we should have constitutional carry everywhere. But according to Minnesota state law, if you are going to a protest where law enforcement is supposed to be, you're not allowed to actually carry your gun. That's Minnesota state law. And I'm not saying anything about like their deaths. I think both deaths are tragic, but I just want to say those 2 laws do exist. And those 2 things have to be taken in consideration in both of those cases.
And it's being investigated, by the way, for you who thinks it's not being investigated.
The identity of the officer that shot Alex Preddy in the back while he laid face down on the ground 10-ish times, 8, 10, it's disputed whether another officer also fired, was leaked by journalists. Like no one gave us this person's identity, right? This person is being protected. And like the press conferences by the government expressly demonstrate that they are defending this unreasonable, completely unjustified killing.
Well, let me ask you. Some of us don't see it that way. That's your opinion.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it.
I don't think we need to talk about it, Emily, because there are people who are going to investigate this on a much grander scale than you and I can do this, and those are the people we should probably wait for, and then we can look at the evidence and make a better discernment, because you weren't there and I weren't there, and so since I weren't there and you weren't there, we don't really know. We see
but you
videos,
have an opinion about it, and it seems like you have an opinion based on something, right? I mean, you don't seem like a person that doesn't use evidence, right? Like you seem like evidence matters to you,
right?
Evidence matters to me too, man. Like, here's my only. Let me just ask.
2 laws that I just cited. I believe in the 2 laws that I just cited.
I would really love to read those, because that changes the conversation big time, obviously.
Yeah. 609.066 Minnesota statute 609 subsection 066.
609.066. I will look into that and read it.
It's about use of deadly force. It's about use of deadly force.
Right. Here's the question I want to ask. TJ, like, you've got a family, I've got a family, right? And I think that we need to talk about like the jurisdictional bounds of the law enforcement officers that we're discussing, right? What is the bounds of their duty, right? Because like if a local police officer like broke into my house for no reason and was like beating the shit out of my husband for like literally for no warrant, no nothing, I would shoot him for being on my property without cause, right? And I would be legally in the right. Now in the state of Oregon, it might be a little testy, right? State of Texas, I'd be completely vindicated. And I think that makes sense to us, because that officer is not operating within the bounds of his duties, right? He's not stopping a crime. He just, he just broke into my house and just started abusing somebody in my house, right? That would be completely out of the bounds of his, right?
Are we talking a uniformed officer or non-uniformed?
Yeah, absolutely. If a uniformed officer had no business on my property, had no warrant, was absolutely just violating my rights and my husband's rights, or trespassing.
I'm not going to fucking. Right? Exactly. Hell no, I'm not going to arm up against a fucking uniformed cop. Hell no. I'm not going to arm up against a uniformed cop. No way. If he's
If he
coming
was
in,
harming your family for no reason?
no, that's not happening. That's
Well,
not
I'm saying,
happening.
of course it's not
She's
happening, bro.
giving you.
Saying
She's
it's
giving.
hypothetical.
Hold on.
Let's
Hypothetical.
be honest. That's
She's
not
giving you
happening.
this wild hypothetical because
Yeah,
this
you're
is
giving
probably
us-
not going to happen. But I think I
Right.
know where
This
she's
is
going to
not
go on this.
happening. No.
Go
No,
ahead.
I'm not.
Easy,
Fantasy
brother.
land.
Easy,
Draw
brother.
people in and
Let
rile
her
people
let her
up.
explain because I know where she's going.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Rob.
I want to hear more about this
Like-
fantasy.
This obvious, the hypothetical is obviously fantastical, right? It's not happening. It's not going to happen. And I agree with you that that's a fantastical hypothetical, right? But it's not fantastical that the law enforcement agents in Minnesota are operating outside the bounds of their jurisdictional duties. Pushing random women in the street while you wander around has nothing to do with it. Like investigating
I
immigration crimes has
completely
nothing
disagree
to
with
do.
you on that, though. They have every
Follow
right to
ground.
do their duty, just
What
like
leads you to disagree?
Why?
Okay, Emily, I used to fight against the pot laws out there. And before you were even a glimmer in your daddy's eye, I was fighting against the pot wars and the drug wars because I think it's completely wrong to put people in jail for what they put into their body. And I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of officers take a lot of people and do horrible things to them, trying to serve warrants and stop people from doing that. And I even knew at the time that it was wrong for them to be doing that to that people, but it'd even be more wrong to try to stop them because those officers are acting in the name of society overall, the collective, the government. And so the people who voted for the people in office, who have given these officers the authority, they're the ones that you have to change their minds. And we eventually did. We did. And we worked really hard on that. In fact, the reason marijuana is legal today is because people like me took those chances and we risked a lot, Emily. And I knew even back then, I wouldn't even get in the way of an officer doing something that I thought was unconstitutional.
He was
Yet they
enforcing
had
the law,
authority
no?
to do it.
He was in that very moment dealing with someone who was currently breaking a law, correct?
And the guy who interrupted him and harassed him was breaking the law as well.
It's not against the law to be in the way of an officer who is acting outside the bounds of their jurisdictional duties.
That's where we disagree.
Why are we not having these? Why are we not having these protests?
Federal agents. Minnesota is part of the federal thing.
Right.
They are going after federal people who have warrants for
Federal
their arrest.
people.
Most illegal aliens
There you
who
go.
are here illegally, who have committed horrible crimes, and they were going to get them. But no, the people who think they are above the law and create these protest groups and block policemen trying to act in their duties, their lawful duties to arrest illegal aliens, and you're saying they're above the law. You cannot interfere with an officer in the action of his duties. And
Well,
you
it's
keep
not their
saying,
duties if they don't have
he's
a
not
warrant.
in his jurisdiction. He is in his jurisdiction.
It's not his jurisdiction if he has no warrant. If he has no warrant, there's absolutely no.
Because once they got the expulsion order, you don't need a warrant anymore.
Oh, so he had an expulsion order for the lady he was pushing in the street for no fucking reason?
That
was getting in his way, stopping
was
him from
filming
doing
him,
his
dude.
No,
So
she was
filming is interfering
I've
now.
seen those videos and they were in the way. They were stopping them from moving. We're going to disagree on this, but I have to go back to something that Phil Taylor is asking. And I thought this was kind of interesting. He says, weird, the TPUSA event was live streamed. Would you guys live stream the prom? Because
Like I said, I'm
we
not
have nothing
organized.
to be ashamed of. So, would you think that would be okay?
I think it would be great if they chose to do that. That's my personal opinion.
I
would like if they did.
I volunteer.
I got a funny feeling that the far leftists probably be grumpy about it.
Well,
Why
then
would
they're going
they
to
be
have to get
grumpy
over
about
it. If you guys have nothing to hide, let me live stream the whole thing.
TJ, I'm not organizing it. I can't give you permission,
Well,
man. I wish I could.
Well, I mean, the people that are.
Yeah, and they told
Look,
me
we
if you have
need
questions to talk to
I
them.
believe in transparency. It's our tax dollars.
I
It would be
agree.
a community service. It
I
would be a
agree.
community service.
I agree. Now look,
Okay, cool. Then I'll be there.
listen,
I'm
man,
coming.
I can't give you permission. I also can't stop them from saying, "Hey, brother, we're not really into the live streaming thing." Like, if they want to stop you at
Okay,
the door,
well
that's
then
their
then
right.
I'll just record videos and upload them later.
Look, man, I don't know about it. I think
Yeah,
it's kind of weird
well-
that you want to go film a bunch of kids.
Oh, come on.
I'm fucking with you.
Come on. That
I'm
is such a
fucking with you.
lazy excuse. Come on. But yeah, if there's nothing to hide, then and listen, I'm cool. Like I used to go to tons of drag shows back in the day. Like I have no problem with any of the gay shit. Like I'm not, I'm a Christian. I don't necessarily agree with it. Like, but as far as this is America. You guys want to be a bunch of whatevers? Go ahead. Be whatever you want. I don't care. I don't care. You're adults.
To be
This
clear,
is
the only
America.
thing is like, do you think that like underage kids are gonna show up like, I mean, maybe they could walk and like tell their mom that they're not gonna be home until late, but like I don't know. I feel like in this town, like I don't know how many kids are gonna be showing up there without permission at the very least.
Well,
But you're
I mean, if
admitting
it's
it
any,
could
that's a
happen.
problem. If
Wait a
it's,
minute,
if there's
though.
any,
Hold on.
that's a problem.
admitting it could happen.
Hold on a minute. Emily, you're admitting though it could happen.
Yeah, and kids can also sneak into an R-rated movie at the movie theater. Like it's
It
not
could happen.
like, yeah.
But there's the difference. An R-rated movie, you'd get in trouble to going to. This one, you'd get a mocktail for going to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Juice.
Yeah.
I really think in the spirit of taxpayer transparency, I think I should be allowed to come in and film it. And if you guys have nothing to hide, if nobody has anything to hide, then they'll have no problem with it.
Maybe they just want to have a party without a bunch of squares.
How am I square? How am I square? I'm a stoner alcoholic. I'm the life of the fucking party. I don't give a shit. I'm the life of the fucking party. Dance with all y'all. I'll get out on the dance floor too. But I want to film it so everybody knows what's going on. And I think that's a fair thing.
And Emily, you probably don't know, but you look at us, you probably see three old guys, and that's really what we are. Three old guys.
Members of my community who are willing to deal with my ass. That's what
I wasn't always and I'm not that's the other thing. I never liked the word community. It has bad connotation because people I don't like tell me I'm part of their community, and it's like I don't want to be part of your community. But the thing is that I used to be a very wild man in my 20s. I was a supervisor of the Pussycat Club. It was a sex club, okay? So it's not like I'm a prude and haven't seen a lot of things in my life. Marty used to be the DJ at the Rock and Roll Playboy Club and hung out with rock and roll stars,
Boy, you three sure sound just like the right crew of people to be worrying about the safety of children.
Yep, and we do because we know better than anyone else what goes on, because that was the biggest thing that we did, was to try to make sure that children, anyone under 21, never got in any of our material, never got our material, never heard our stuff. And we worked really hard to make sure that those kids didn't have it, because we thought that adults had every right to it. But children have a right to be innocent until they have a choice. And that's what gives us a lot more credence, because we worked at it. We actually were in the business where we worked at it. Do you see kind of where my point is on that?
I see where you're at. I appreciate you laying that out a little for me. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and to go back to your well, it's a small town, and maybe people are being don't feel that they fit in, and I'm like going, well, I grew up in a small town in northeast Iowa, about 600 people, and we had two gay teachers. Two gay teachers in our high school, and nobody cared. Everybody was just like, yeah, we're fine with that. We don't care. I mean, the weirdest thing that ever happened is we had a bunch of Hasidic Jews take over what used to be a turkey processing plant to do I forget the word is where you have to do it the specific correct Jewish way of processing
Kosher.
food. Kosher. There we go. Thank you. But anyway, so we kept inviting them. People kept inviting them out to socialize and mingle. We didn't care that they were Hasidic Jews and they were, and then it's like, well, we figured out why they didn't want to hang out with us because we were throwing barbecues where we were roasting pigs, not knowing anything at all about the fact that, pig is not a good thing for Jewish people to eat. So, but I mean, nobody cared about the fact that the teachers were gay. We had a problem with the guy that was molesting children at the pharmacy. That we had a problem with. But I mean, but the same thing. I mean, you can say the same thing about whether you're gay or you're autistic or ADHD or you're short. I mean, when I graduated high school, I was 4'11". I weighed 85 pounds. I didn't think I felt in. I didn't felt like I fit in. I think everybody has those feelings. And it's like, yeah, I had my own special clubs. It was called band or drama or, chess club.
That sounds pretty queer to me, Marty. Are you sure you're not on the fruity end of the spectrum there?
Queer as hell about being a band member, man. I could play a trombone like nobody's business. So,
Marty, I also play the trombone. I also play the trombone, and I also came from Northeast Iowa, and I was also in band, and I was also in drama, and I'm telling you, so many similarities.
Yeah, but you're down
that's
from
the whole thing, though. I don't have a problem with gay people because most gay men, they're not child molesters. I don't have a problem with lesbians. In fact, I think lesbians are cool. We actually have the same clothing. We all wear flannel, you know what I'm saying? So I have no problem with lesbians. I don't have a problem with drag queens. I've been to a few drag shows. I have
a problem with lesbians wearing flannel. I am a farmer. I am a country boy. I've been wearing flannel my whole life. They're stealing my culture. Lesbians are
cultural appropriation is what that is. That's what it is.
Yes, cultural appropriation, and I am against it. Lesbians should stop wearing flannel. Yep, exactly. That's my decree.
I hate it when they have better looking crew cuts than I can do.
Right. No, that was a joke. Go ahead, lesbians. Wear whatever you want. I don't care.
Let's go, lesbians.
Yeah.
Let's go, lesbians.
That's just the thing, though, Marty.
Do what you want. Just be adults about it.
You were talking about everyone experiencing that, and I don't want gay kids or lesbian kids or any kids to be bullied. But the thing is that Christians are getting bullied. If you watch The Turning Point, Emily, you saw
I watched the whole
Christians.
thing. Yeah.
There were kids talking about being bullied at school just for their religion. I don't
think that's right either. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, absolutely not acceptable.
So how do we stop that? How do we get because Christian kids have a right to also believe that the gay lifestyle is some of them believe it's evil. They don't think it's appropriate. They don't think it's right. Do you think a person has a right to believe that?
Of course. I got a question for you though. Yeah. Do you think that if I disagree with your lifestyle because of my religion and I tell you that I don't like your lifestyle because of my religion and you tell me, well, that's fucking stupid. Did anybody do anything wrong in that equation?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so I think that it's possible, right? That it's absolutely I was a Christian for a long time. I'm not anymore. Pretty obvious. But I think that it's absolutely the case that there are Christians who get, bullied for being religious. But I think it's also the case that there are Christians that just get pushed back on for having beliefs that other people disagree with. And I think those two things need to be made super clear how different they are.
So in some cases, do you think bullying in certain degrees is appropriate? Because it does
I think that social norms make sense. And I think that like if someone was being really antisocial, right? Like they don't know how to stay in their personal space or some shit, always pushing people around, even if they're just goofing. The group can be like, dude, are you going to quit? Hello? That kind of I think shame is a word for that, but people get real uppity about the word shame. So I don't,
Bring back bullying. That's how we stopped the weirdos from being weirdos. Let's. I mean, that's a little basic. That's kind of a
Look.
basic way to say it, you know. Like, and I don't like. Okay, that's listen. That's gonna get.
Well, I'm
clipped,
looking
and
at
I'm
4
gonna be
weirdos
I'm
on my
gonna,
screen
yeah.
right now. You know, so
But yeah,
a grain of salt here.
I was a weird goth kid, and I definitely deserved to be bullied and told don't be a weird goth kid because I was
That
a weird
sucks.
goth kid. I should have totally nope, but I don't think I got bullied enough. But I just grew out of it, luckily, and yeah. But yeah, we need to bring back bullying to an
the way
extent.
that TPUSA interacts with like the Christian youth. Can I bring it back to that? Because
Go for it.
broadly, I think it is excellent to have youth outreach political organizations. I think that TPUSA is an incredibly effective just political machine. I have a lot of respect for the organization, the way that the donors are just so involved. Like it has really far reach and it's been really effective. There are definitely things I disagree with, right? And like when I talk about my disagreement, what I'm focused on is this idea that because like I feel like I'm talking to 3 people who understand like and agree with me that like even if we don't believe the same religion, that we can all still be Americans, right? And I'm not, the point isn't that TPUSA thinks that if you're not a Christian, that you shouldn't be an American. It's more that they think that if you're not a Christian or doing like the Christian cultural thing, then you're not being an American correctly, right? And like it's a big shift on. Are y'all aware of Dominion theory or like the 7 Mountains mandate or any of these televangelists?
Yes, I've heard it. Once again, I believe a lot of it's conspiracy. Not
it is right. It's well. Oh, do you mean like the people who believe in it? That's a conspiracy, or do you mean like the thing itself is conspiratorial?
The people who believe in it.
I would look, there's a book we got at the public library written by a really wonderful Christian minister, Matthew Taylor, I believe his name is. The book's called The Violent Take It by Force. Highly recommend it. It's about some of the like fringe crazies, like what was her name? Pamela White and Lindsey Graham and some of the like really visible like televangelist Christians who kind of manipulated some of their like voter bases in ways that I personally wouldn't want if I was in a house of worship. But it's an ideological change, right? So it's not just religious, it's also ideological, and it's a shift away from the libertarian roots that TPUSA had. Then it's moving towards this idea that we need to make sure that I wish it was about small government. I wish it was about the budget. I wish it was about family values is great. I'm glad that they're doing the get married and pair off. That's good for the country. That's good for the economy. That's good for the culture. That's good for everybody. I couldn't be happier that they're telling Americans that they need to get married and have kids. Big fan of that message. The simple matter of fact is that religious rhetoric and political rhetoric are mixing in dangerous ways. In 2 separate instances, let me get my notes. I have my notes from the listen through. In 2 separate instances of in that TPUSA event, there were explicit issues with the idea of the enemy having a disambiguated definition, right? When I say that, what I mean is we're quoting scripture, right? It's a Christian organization. We're quoting scripture. And so we're talking about like Caleb quoted the bit where he said like, the thief seeks only, the enemy wants to steal, kill, and destroy, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking about the enemy, the spiritual enemies.
The devil.
Satan and the demons and the devil, right?
Right.
But we're also using that same word enemy in the same meeting to describe me. I'm not Satan. Also, I just disagree with you. The enemy, the right?
Yeah.
Our enemies are trying to take over our culture. Our enemies are trying to indoctrinate your kids. Our enemies are trying to, suppress your freedom of speech.
Okay. Perfect. Hold on. That's exactly what we hear when you talk about them, they, the fascist,
Right, but I'm not quoting scripture that uses the same word.
it doesn't
saying that they
matter.
wanna-
It's still the same message that we're hearing.
I'm only complaining about the rhetoric from the scripture here. I'm not
Okay, go
complaining
for it,
about
though.
the accusations. I'm complaining about the fact that the word enemy was used to describe the most evil entity in all of creation, right?
Mhm.
And me. But it was never exactly distinguished which one they were talking about at any given time, right?
So do
That's
they call
a
God by
really
name?
dangerous way to mix messages. That's one of those like sneaky things that I was talking
And
about.
that's
right?
exactly what they do on the left when you talk about the fascist and blend that in with us, as in the fascist, because then they think you're talking about us. We're
I've never called
attending
you a
the
fascist,
meeting
Rob.
of the fascist.
I never called you a fascist.
No, you called them the fascist, and I'm there supporting the fascist, and only a fascist would support a fascist, whether you meant to convey that message or not. That's the message people took, because that's what they told me when they were criticizing me on Facebook.
So when I'm saying I have an issue with my
At the
like,
protest, I have definitely been called. I've been called a fascist. I've been called a Nazi. I've been called a pedophile. I've been called everything. Every
got called a
absolutely disgusting thing you can be called. I've been
course you have.
called.
right, but this is also so like, but this is what TPUSA does, right? And my complaint is that they're mixing the words and they're doing it underhanded on like in a way that seems extremely deliberate, right? Painting me as a spiritual force of evil.
You personally?
Yeah, Maureen Bannon.
Well, you know why they're worried about that evil force is because they're now paying. They're paying for people to go and have drag shows for all ages, and those same people are pushing to have those drag shows and drag show story time in the library, and there are actually people pushing to have that being brought into our schools.
How
and their
does
kids
that
go to
infringe
schools
on
and
your
they're worried
rights?
about that, and they see that as the devil. And I
Right.
can't say I disagree with them. And by the way, Emily, I'm not religious, I'm not a Christian, and I'm not a nationalist.
I actually believe you on all of those counts. The situation is that
you seem to be jumping to conclusions when you say,
no.
They're
I'm
trying
definitely
to,
a Christian.
You are pivoting
Praise God.
away
Christ
from
is
my
king.
point.
describe the devil. They're saying there is evil. There is evil that is trying to ruin the things that we enjoy most in life.
Right.
And then you jump to, and they're talking about me. And I'm saying,
Maureen
unless they
Bannon
call you out
specifically
by
pointed
name,
to my protest and discussed and said, and they are standing outside this building right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
you're
they
actively
and you have to
protesting.
understand, everyone in that building felt threatened by
By
your
a bunch
group.
of hippies and guitars.
No, by the people who said they were going to get murdered in the street. You should have heard the threats we got. You should go ask Jill to play the threats that she got. And
I
then
agree that
compound
Jill
that with the
shouldn't have been.
vandalism that she had. And then compound that with weirdos following her and walking by and taking pictures nonstop. After a while, that's intimidation and that's fear. And that's what, whether you did it or not, doesn't matter, Emily. That happened, and you intimidated and scared the hell, not you, the crowd, out of those women and children. Yes, those old hippies. I wasn't scared.
Y'all must
I
be
went
a
over and
bunch of
talked to the old
snowflakes
hippies,
then.
but that's
Listen.
not the
Yeah,
impression they were giving. And if you saw it on Facebook, you could see
Look.
those threats.
Look.
Ralph
I would like to
Weathers
say
is
this.
another one who did it.
I would like to say this. Up prior to the event happening, there was a bunch of posts online by that one dude, that Sal
I
dude,
don't
or
want to talk
whatever
about
his name
Sal.
is.
I want no.
And,
he's
yeah,
the-
but no, listen, no, regardless of who it was, talking about like bringing buckets and cones and stuff like that to block tear gas and stuff. Like,
well, the
you
buckets
don't.
were for stop right there. That is such a terrible mischaracterization. The reason we wanted to bring buckets was because we wanted to encourage people to drum along to the beat. I can show you the fucking Democrat email about it. The reason we wanted to bring cones is so that we could keep our protesters off of your walkway so that you could get to your fucking event safely.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
okay,
But that's
so are you gonna
but
deny?
but
Are you
like I
gonna
said,
deny
the
that on?
extremist If you weren't there protesting, you wouldn't have attracted the extremists. And the extremists,
Which
were the ones
extremists
who were
are you talking
threatening
about?
Well,
the people who are threatening the theater. It was online.
I posted my video and I began organizing that protest after there had already been quite a few problems for Jill. I didn't cause that.
So there are posts on Facebook, and I have the screenshots of them, and of somebody posting that they needed it. They specifically said it was for like tear gas canisters.
Yep.
I have the screenshots, and I will post them.
Go for it.
Yeah,
I don't understand what the point.
If your side threatens our side, that's okay, and we're snowflakes. But if somebody says something about the evil outside, and you're taking it personally, you're saying TPUSA is a bunch of fascists because they said your people are evil. So it's okay for us to be threatened. But we shouldn't be upset about being threatened because we're snowflakes. And here you're going all snowflake about the fact that you think Maureen Bannon said you were evil, and I'm like going, she didn't say
that's
hey.
you can't have it both ways, Emily.
Hang on, I can, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, you can have it both ways.
I'll tell
That's
you why.
nice. That's liberal of you.
Here's why I think I can, and you tell me if this sounds crazy. You ready? When someone is peacefully exercising their First Amendment right outside and they get characterized as evil, that's one problem, right? When someone supports fascism, supports Christian nationalism, and expressly carries water for and defends fascistic policies, and you call them a fascist, then what?
Yeah, but you are wrong. There is not fascism. We don't believe that. We don't believe what you're saying.
You don't believe it.
And
that doesn't make
I don't
me
care
wrong.
what you say.
Right?
It doesn't make you right either. And once again, you haven't shown me anything that's shown me that Turning Point USA is a fascist organization. There is nothing you have said from the beginning of the show to now to me that has proven anything that they are fascist. All you're saying, in your opinion, that they are fascist, and we are supporting those fascists.
I take the position that TPUSA is a Christian nationalist organization that is in support of a fascist regime.
Can we agree that you can be a Christian and a nationalist without being a Christian nationalist?
I haven't thought about that before. Maybe that sounds like a possible.
I would not.
This, Emily.
I'm not a Christian nationalist, but I'm a Christian and a nationalist.
Yeah, I guess I could see it.
But can you be a Christian nationalist and not be a fascist?
Probably, but it's probably less likely, if that makes sense. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think that Christian nationalism right now is being deliberately used to support fascistic policies.
And what's the ingredient that makes nationalism fascism? Oh, I remember socialism, the National Socialist.
That's just Nazis, dumbass. Listen, man, that's just Nazis. And besides, they weren't socialists. They were
they were socialists. Because
it's in the name.
Fascism
and
is
North
based
Korea
on socialism just as much as
name.
Communism.
Yeah, and North Korea is a democracy because it's in the name, right? Socialism being in the name doesn't mean anything.
A dictatorship.
Exactly, but they call themselves a democracy.
So what?
Obviously, if you name yourself
call America democracy, and we're not either. We're a constitutional republic. People make that mistake all the time.
And the Bible is just a book, and reading scripture is just no more or less than reading from your favorite quotes from, Douglas Adams.
What's your point on that one, Marty?
No, the whole point is you're reading this much, you're saying, oh, well, they're quoting scripture. And I'm like going, yeah.
No, that's not my complaint. If that's what you heard from my complaint, then you didn't listen very hard. My complaint is that I am being directly equivocated with Satan by being a First Amendment right. My complaint is that I'm being called evil for exercising my First Amendment right, and you're being called like fascist by not me, Sal Carruthers, I guess, for supporting fascism. Which one's more correct?
No, neither of them are correct because you're protesting us. Why are you protesting us? Are you protesting us? My question is,
I told you guys I loved you.
So my question, Emily, is what were you protesting us for? Were you trying to silence us, or were you trying to intimidate us? What was the protest for?
To express disagreement.
To express disagreement with the Christian national message. And even though you expressed disagreement, you still created an atmosphere of intimidation, whether you wanted to or not, towards people.
I created no such atmosphere.
That weren't doing nothing but their right to peacefully go into that building. And they should never have been harassed by cameras taking pictures of their kids. They should never have been harassed on Facebook by people telling them all kinds of threats. And no matter whether you wanted that to happen or not, that happened. So they got
not because of my protest.
Because people didn't go to the theater because they were afraid. There were people who didn't show up because they were afraid. Is that right?
Well, they sound like pussies. Do you realize how much more problems you
would
have had if
so
I
you
hadn't
sound
organized?
like a pussy because you're worried about someone saying scripture and including you in it, and it scares you, and you're not a pussy for that, but we're pussies because someone actually said they were going to kill somebody and they didn't want to bring their kids somewhere where they might be killed, because just a couple of months ago we watched somebody get shot on TV and they thought that violence might actually occur again because of what they were seeing on Facebook. Whether you wanted that to happen or not, it still happened.
Do you realize how much mitigation of violence I did?
Charlie Kirk got assassinated. You're saying there's absolutely
not irrelevant.
No way we can make any conclusion that any protesters are going to show up and wish us any harm. But Charlie Kirk did get assassinated.
I would like to say
this. He didn't get assassinated. He got murdered.
Hold on. I would like to say something. Emily, you just said, do you know how much? Hold on. Emily said, do you know how much mitigation I did on that event?
People are angry and frustrated at TPUSA.
Yes. And I do want to give you props because I'm the only one on our side that goes out and has regular interactions with you guys. And everything you did that night, honestly, everybody was mostly peaceful. No, I'm not talking like CNN mostly peaceful, but I'm talking like actually mostly peaceful. But yeah, no, I want to. You mentioned that, and I do want to say, I respect how y'all.
I put in a lot of work to protect y'all's event to make sure that it went smoothly and peacefully, because I absolutely fight for your rights to be able to hold your events and do your things the way that you want to do them. You're not breaking any laws. You're not violating any constitutional and yada, 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 right? Like, it was like what Charlie used to say. Like, I don't agree with you, but I'd fight to make sure that you have the right to say it, right?
And that doesn't matter because of all the threats and violence that happened. People were still afraid to show up, and their rights were violated.
Their rights were not violated. That's not a violation of rights.
Because they were terrified by what they thought was a danger.
They made an elective decision to go somewhere that they didn't want to go to
after receiving threats.
After Jill
you guys didn't. Nobody was threatening your side. I don't know what.
Right, because we don't have Christian nationalist, ultra revolutionary tendencies.
No, it's because we're not violent and we're not going to threaten you.
And we basically,
do you guys know that?
Said that I would fight for your rights. If they denied your right to protest, I would have gone to the city. I would have found a group to make sure that you were able to protest.
That's true.
Agreed.
That's absolutely true.
But I would never threaten anyone, and nobody from our side threatened you guys. I think that shows a lot more for our side than yours.
Pointed rifles at me out of the back of a fucking van.
What?
What
kind of BS is that?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. So
no, this is the first time hearing about it.
Of course it's the first time you fucking heard about it.
Why did the commissioner have a big, long...
No, hold on, Marty. We need to find out more about this. Tell us more about this, Emily.
A white van slow rolled past our protest and pointed fucking rifles at us.
And
they should have been arrested. And if I would have saw them, I would have said those people should have been arrested, officer.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. The same way that I think that the people who are doing death threats against Jill should be fucking
Why were there 50
punished.
cops there if it was going to be so peaceful? Why were 50 cops there?
Because
And if somebody
Republicans
did
bring
wave a
guns
rifle-
to
if
everything,
somebody
man.
brandished
That's
a weapon at you. If somebody brandished a weapon at you, why didn't you tell the police and have that car pulled over? and
Did
have
you
them
tell the
arrested?
police?
They broke the law. So
yeah. The
if you
de-escalation
didn't
team
do
talked to
anything about
them.
it, then I'm saying I didn't see it. I don't know that it
A
happened.
report about it.
Right.
There will
Yeah.
be a
Why
public
did the
report about that.
commissioner? Why did the commissioner get up on Facebook and say he had to talk to the sheriffs? He had
I
to talk
appreciate
to
that,
all
Steve.
the police departments. He was worried that there was going to be 100, and I didn't understand this one.
1,000 NAACP members.
1,000, and he was told 1,000 NCAA, a bunch of basketball players were going to show up. Yeah, a bunch of
Man, it was like
NCAA guys were
200
gonna show up
people,
and
like
throw
maybe
basketballs at
250 when
us.
it was
It's like,
busiest.
it's like dodgeballs on steroids, I tell you.
Wait,
But
do you
no,
think the
I mean-
cops being there was bad?
No. But I'm saying, why did the commissioner feel
I'm
he had to get up and do a 5-minute Facebook post about how he was worried and how he had to coordinate with the sheriff's office and all the police officers, and there's going to be 1,000 protesters from the NAACP that are coming to Coos Bay to protest TPUSA, and he lit up all this stuff in his big long Facebook.
What does that
screen.
demonstrate?
But the whole point is how can anybody not feel threatened by the fact that he's saying they had to coordinate with the police, they had to coordinate with the sheriff's department, they had to coordinate with the state police, they had to coordinate because all these protesters were going to show up and it was going to be violent. And what do you take away from that?
I
It's
take
you
away
can
that
say
that
after
didn't
the
happen,
fact,
and so you're incorrect.
as TJ said,
Hello?
okay, you guys did a great job and it was peaceful, but how does anybody know that in advance of the situation when that's all you hear is all the people being threatened, all the people having death threats,
Right, but
all the
nothing
things
happened,
happening?
right?
But how are we supposed to know that?
Right,
Wait
so-
a minute. Hold on, hold on,
can't know
guys.
that.
Hold
Of
on,
course you
hold
can't know
on, hold
that.
on, everyone. Hold on, everyone. How are we supposed to know that when we have seen violence in the past? We have seen BLM protest here, right here in our city, get violent. We've seen that happen on the left. We have seen vandalism from people who have written leftist things on buildings and stuff and graffiti. We have seen that. And how are we supposed to know there's not going to be violence? Because past performance is usually an indication of future performance.
Sure.
And I think
right.
we would be idiots not to be prepared.
So here's I got 2 questions.
Assaulted
TJ
every
first.
other week.
Sorry. Go ahead, TJ.
I get assaulted every other week.
Oh,
and it's on
that's-
camera.
They're not. They shouldn't be putting their fucking hands on you. I agree that. I mean, assault is a broad word for what's happening, but they still shouldn't be putting their fucking hands on you. Listen.
Yeah, when I was collecting signatures for Recall Kotek and End Vote by Mail, and we were at the hotel across from the Tioga, on that corner, I had somebody like roll down a window and point a gun at me, and I just went, "Oh, what a fucking idiot! I don't care. You're not going to shoot me in the street. I'm not afraid of this. I'm collecting signatures. If you don't want to sign, don't sign. I don't care. Fuck off." And that was about it.
Right. So, like, I got 2 questions. Was Drew Farmer right or wrong about what he was posting on Facebook?
The whole point was he made that statement. And if somebody who is a
No, that wasn't the whole
making a
point. Your
statement
whole
like
point
that,
was that we were threatening you and doing something violent.
when he makes a
Which there
statement
were
like that,
people
it's
who were
that.
doing that.
It's
Yeah.
threat.
Right.
There
The same way that there were
there-
people who pointed guns at me. Right. So what's your point?
But the
Okay,
point-
I would
okay,
like
so-
to say, okay, so I made.
You can't get
Can
that.
I speak,
It was a
please?
credible threat. You don't
Okay,
get that point.
so I made that video that I made about
respected it.
like, yes, I appreciate that, and I think that had an effect on how people there on your side reacted. I feel like enough people had seen it and said, okay, these people, this is what they're expecting. But I made that video because I seen all the other posts online about like preparing for tear gas and everything like that. You don't prepare for that stuff unless you're planning on doing something to get that stuff.
None
And
of the
so-
people planning that were those people, right? So, like, if I was saying, look, wait, just really
But
quick.
but that's the information that was provided to us.
No,
that's
that's
the
not. Here's
information
the
that
thing.
was provided to us.
You guys don't know what the local moderate normal Democrats sound like because you don't listen to us. right?
That's
All you
not
hear is
true.
Sal Carruthers.
No, that's not true. I have a no. I have been
More than
gathering.
anyone.
I have been gathering signatures,
That's
Emily,
all
for
you
the
could get.
last 6 months, and I've been talking to a lot of Democrats. I've got relatives who are Democrats. I got neighbors who are Democrats, and they're what I called old school Democrats. So yeah, I do listen to a lot of Democrats. So
Then why
that's
are you
not.
so bad at predicting what we think?
It's not you.
It's
It
not,
was
TJ's
the
pretty good at it.
extremist on your side.
it's not having.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at predicting what they're going to be
TJ's
talking
pretty
about
good
at
at
every
it. Here's my
protest.
thing. If you don't have to be responsible for the extremists on your side, why should I have to be responsible for mine?
What extremists on our side exactly?
The people who pointed guns at me.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Wait
I
a minute.
disavow
I
that.
didn't say
You know what?
Or I.
How do we
should
know it
be
wasn't Sal Carruthers?
responsible.
I thought this was the whole conversation was that like he's telling me that I'm responsible for the fear that people have.
I'm
That's somehow a
telling you,
violation of
I'm
their First
telling
Amendment
you
rights.
that protesting our event helped antagonize and activate those extremists. And even whether they were going to be there before or not, they may not have been there because of the fact that you brought the larger crowd and you had to behave yourselves because you were the larger crowd. But if you weren't there, there would have been nobody there protesting because at that point, the crazies never would have showed up. I knew they weren't going to
What
show up,
crazies?
but you know who doesn't know that they're not going to show up? The women and children who see these posts on Facebook. You didn't scare the hell out of them,
Right.
but people in your group scared the hell out of them. And you protesting us, telling us we're National Socialists that support fascists, that doesn't help the message to little old ladies and women who have children. It just doesn't
Maybe
help
they
them.
should listen. If you don't want me to call Christian nationalists, then they shouldn't be Christian nationalists, right? But the point of this conversation, I think, is that we're trying to say that people were scared, right? That's the point.
It
is that
wasn't
people
the
were scared.
nationalist, it was the fascist. You were calling them fascist, and we don't believe they're
I said
fascist.
that there's nothing more important than joining the Democrats to fight the fascists that are working to destroy this country. Direct quote from the video. The fascists who are working to destroy this country are the people who have the power to destroy this country, the people who are in the administration. I never called Charlie Kirk a fascist. I never called you a fascist. I never called TPUSA a fascist. You are putting words in my mouth.
I never put words in your mouth because that's what I said. You were calling them a fascist, but yet the implication is there because anyone who shows up is obviously a fascist because they support a fascist, or we're just fucking
I've ever called
stupid.
a
So which
fascist
is
is
it,
the Trump
Emily? Are you
administration.
calling us fucking stupid, or are you calling us fascist because we go to the Turning Point event?
I'm calling your politics unacceptable to me because the Trump administration is a fascistic regime and it's unacceptable to support it.
Prove it.
And so am I a fascist for supporting the Trump regime on your mind?
I don't think so. That's not how I view
Wow.
how
Because
fascism
if
works.
you were supporting a communist, I would call you a communist, even if you weren't.
That's because
communist
communism has a collective structure. Fascism is a top-down structure. The fascists are at the top and the rest of us get crushed.
No, let me see. That's the paradigm that people always try to put that into. They say fascism is on the right and communism is on the left. No, fascism, communism, socialism, they're all collectivist ideologies. And they are on the
Fascism is
left.
not a collectivist
Let me
ideology.
hold on.
It's a
Let me
nationalist
speak.
ideology.
It's I get the chance to speak too. So all of those people are collectivist ideologies. Fascism, socialism, communism, all of them are collective ideologies. Anarchy is no government at all. Now, in between anarchy and those collectivist ideologies, we're a little bit closer. I'd like to be a little bit closer to anarchy, less government, the least amount of government possible. That's where I'd like to be, almost towards anarchy. But no, we've got government that's moving towards more fascism, more socialism, more communism. All of it is collectivism. And I'm against collectivist ideologies because I'm an individualist. I believe in individual rights for the individualist. And that's my problem with you. You keep saying the difference between fascism and communism. I don't see that paradigm that you're drawing. I see it in the way that I just explained it.
I actually agree with that framing because, and the only reason I'm putting communists and fascists at odds with each other is because currently in our political system, I have communists to the left of me and you have fascists to the right of you, right? So that's just the spectrum that we're operating with right now. I do agree that they both have a unifying structure. I might make an argument against collectivism just because it has like sharing good feelings like connotation, but we can move past that. I want to ask you if you feel like this is imbalanced. You told me, my crazies were being harmful and I disavowed them, right? And they didn't even show up. And I don't approve of what they did, right? I told you that your crazies did some shit and you went, yeah, okay.
No, I didn't. That's a lie.
I'm talking about Marty.
I said they should have been reported. I said they should have been reported to the police and we should have turned them in. And I bet Marty would have agreed with me.
I said exactly the same thing. I said you should have gotten their number, you should have called the police, you should have had them tracked down. If I would have been there, I would have said, yeah, let's go get them.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, gentlemen.
I often say down at the protest, when I'm down there, if somebody like rolls coal, that's illegal if they roll coal on you. And I say, you guys, I hope you guys got that person's license plate so you can report them. I don't think anybody should be breaking the law. So whatever happened to you, I disavow it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Do you boys mind if I take a quick restroom break?
Actually, I'm Josh, Emily. I am worn out, and I have enjoyed this conversation. I think this has been the most invigorating. I mean, Marty's over there. His heart's just going. I want to see his heart thing go over. It's probably.
I had a blood pressure meter, but it blew up. So
it blew up. No, I really enjoyed this conversation. So definitely, I want to have all of you back on again. TJ. Before I get you out of here, Emily, before I get you out of here, do you have anything you want to say real quick?
No, I just I appreciate being in a country where I can still talk to the folks who I disagree with, even if I disagree with them, to the moon and back. I'm really hoping that we can get things moderated to the center like we all think is good. And I really hope that we can get and you know what? I really hope that we can get the American literacy rate up. That's my main political goal.
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Take care. TJ, anything
All I
you
would
want
like
to say?
to say is, we need to keep the conversations going because when the conversations end, that's when the fighting begins. And I don't want to fight with anybody. Then that's why I do what I do going down these protests, because I have to keep these conversations going because our community needs it, and that's my thing.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing you do, sir.
That's a good thing too.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being on. We'll beat you on again, okay? And we'll get some videos. We can share those videos. We'll have to rehearse it a little bit, but we can share those videos. It's fairly easy.
Yeah, we need more small town Iowa boys. That's what we need.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, y'all have a great night.
You too, man. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. That was a good show.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is I get easily, it's not rattled, but I get easily PO'd at times, and you could pretty much tell by the tenor of my voice. Mm-hmm. And the whole point is I'm fine with discussing things, but when somebody does the tactic of, here are the facts as I know them, and I'm like, oh, well, show me, prove it, give me a couple instances. And then it'll be like, okay. And then I'll say something. It's like, well, you don't have the facts to back that up. And I'm like, well, I listened to your unsubstantiated facts. Why don't you listen to my quote unquote unsubstantiated facts? It's like, yeah, if I was given a 1,000 hours, I could say, okay, read this article, read that article, read this text, read that text, so forth and so on. But anyway, the whole point is it's great to have a discussion. And normally I'll get all bent out of shape. And then 5 minutes later, I'll be cracking a joke because that's the whole point. You have a discussion. Sometimes it gets heated. Sometimes you get worked up. And the whole idea is to have these kind of discussions so that, it kind of clears the air. I mean, because we can talk about, why we thought we were threatened, even though she kind of like, blew it off going, well, you're a bunch of snowflakes. And I'm like, I don't know. I think Jill probably thinks differently, but I really like the fact that she like knuckled down, and as opposed to folding, it actually just made her more incensed. She was like, nobody's going to threaten me out of putting anything in this theater,
Oh, that
And
was, yeah, she was great. She was great.
yeah, I gotta give her big props for that. I mean, and
You
so
know,
go ahead.
the funny thing was Emily, how she said that at their meeting, they were talking about doing something for the theater, helping out Jill, having a movie night or something. You want to hear something funny? We had that same discussion at our meeting. And I wonder how many times we have parallel meetings. Like, you know what I mean? They're having the same discussion that we're having. And I'm sure they did, because they had meetings about the event and the protest, but it's like a parallel meeting from two different polar opposites.
It's a parallel universe.
Yeah.
It's like almost, I would quote Rod Serling, but I think pretty much nobody would know the reference besides you and me. So, so anyway.
Oh, I
But
get it. I get it.
It's
Before we
the
get out of
Twilight
here,
Zone, man. It's the Twilight Zone. Hey, it's time to do the ads. 3H Tree Service. If you got trees that are overhanging your house or just a general nuisance, or maybe it's blocking your driveway, or maybe it fell on your garage, so 3H Tree Service can get out there and fix it pronto. They are licensed. You see that number in the corner, LCB 100237? They're licensed, and they're arborists. And you can call them at 541-294-1800. That's 3H Tree Service. By the way, how is he doing? Is his shoulder all better now?
I saw him was it today? I think it was yesterday. I saw Matt yesterday. And he's going to have to learn to shoot with his left hand. I think he's got problems.
So his right shoulder isn't going to be rehabbed to the point where he can do the undersling with the shotgun or something
my
like that?
shoulders, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, something. So you're going to have to learn that rifleman trick, But my shoulder, I don't do what Matt does, and my shoulder's giving me hell. But that guy likes, he swings like Tarzan down from the trees and shit.
He's like swinging through trees, swinging big ass chainsaws off his body while he's swinging through trees, and working it out such that when he cuts the tree and it like pops away, he's swinging out of the way so he doesn't get crushed by the tree. And I'm like, my shoulder's out of kilter because I don't sit properly when I type on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am such a wimp.
I am such a pussy. I know.
I went from carpal tunnel to like my shoulder doesn't work anymore. And I'm like, oh my gird.
Oh my gird. Exactly.
Oh, you know what I was thinking we ought to do one of these times is we ought to like do all these ads as a recording that you could play.
Yeah, I know.
And then what we could do is like halfway through the show when we're having I really got to use the bathroom. We could just go, do a 2-minute break and then run for it. It'd be like old time TV when it's like, that when you had to watch TV in real time and it's like your favorite show was on, but you really had to go to the bathroom. So it'd be like, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. And it'd be like, everybody would be like floor checking and doing hockey maneuvers to get into the bathroom first so they could get back to the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. But anyway, moving on. Tom and Gigs, if you have an automobile that needs service or you just want to get it checked because, maybe you're going somewhere and you want to make sure it's not going to break down on the way, Tom and Gigs is like the best place to go to. They're out in Empire, 185 South Shoneman Street. It says Coos Bay, but it's kind of like Empire. Tom and Gigs, and not only can they fix cars and do things for cars, but they can give you lift kits, performance accessories, and all sorts of interesting things. And if a real car is not good enough for you, well, they've got lots of like drones and RC cars and RC planes and RC helicopters. I mean, look at all these things. Oh, and an RC hero copter. I don't know if that's just mispronounced on purpose or not. And then we got the Volatar
I don't
X,
know either.
Yeah, which is another helicopter. Or if you want to fake like you're in the military, you could do the military edition of the hero copter. But anyway, Tom and Gigs. Oh, there's some planes. And wait, I think we've got, the mini RTs. And They've got like tons of stuff. Oh, and tannerite. And you got to show an ID to get tannerite. You got to be 18 to get tannerite. Don't have to be 21. You have to be 18. So you can blow up your RC car. And now on to Herbal Choices. Herbal Choices is one of the sponsors. They have, you got to be 21 to do Herbal Choices. And you have to have an ID. Either just to walk into the store, you got to have an ID, whether you're buying or not. But Herbal Choices has 5 convenient locations. They have one in Coos Bay, one in North Bend, one in Reedsport, one in Bandon, and where's the 5th one? I forget. Coos Bay. Oh, Charleston.
Charleston.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I
Charleston
didn't flip that as fast.
Yeah, the Charleston is right by Eglin Marine, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's on that same road. They finally put gravel on that road. It was so bad you couldn't even get a boat down there to get it fixed. It was.
Oh, man. Oh, abstinence. You kept saying about abstinence, and I was just thinking, that normally is associated with like abstinence, not getting any sex, but you're also saying, well, not as much drugs, not as much drinking, not as much overindulging. So in this case, you're on an abstinence kick. So you stopped drinking for how long now?
Oh man, well, when was that last tequila binge? I can go back. I can actually find the show that I stopped drinking on.
I don't remember. I fell out of the chair. I don't remember that one. But I actually haven't been drinking on the Friday Night Rant for probably about the same amount of time. I figure, well, if you're going to stop, I can do it too.
All right.
And now I'm like, now when I sound like an idiot, it's just because I'm an idiot. It's not because I'm drunk.
I have no excuse. See, I was kind of, I was using that as a crutch. Really, I'm not stupid. I'm just a drunk. How dare you?
Yeah, it's really annoying. It's enough to make me fall off the wagon that I'm like going, I still sound like an idiot and I'm sober. Damn it. Okay, Oregon's Firearm Federation, they don't actually sponsor the show, but they are a no-compromise organization if you want your Second Amendment rights. Oregon Firearms Federation are the guys. You go to OregonFirearms.org. They're fighting all these lawsuits for your Second Amendment rights. If you want to give them some money, go to OregonFirearms.org. Or OregonFirearms.org. And
there too.
Give them a nickel or something. Yeah, be nice. Give them some money. Bandon Gun Club. They've got traps, 5-stand, and pistol range. New members are always welcome. It's bandongunclub.org. And then there's Tioga Sports Park Association. If you want to shoot long distances, it's located in beautiful Coos County, Oregon, on Highway 101. Is that the one that's out by the dump?
Yeah.
Okay. TiogaSportsPark.org. And of course,
the Coos County Neighborhood Watch. One of my favorite groups. I go there almost every day. I check this out because I want to find out who's doing what in my neighborhood, and I want to kick their ass because I don't like it.
And there you go.
And of course, this week, get this. This week, Danielle Bethel is going to be taking questions on the Coos County Citizen Council podcast with Chris Castleman.
Nice. And that is what, Wednesday?
That is Wednesday at 6:00, Coos County Citizen Council. And we've got coming up, I don't have the flyer. There's a Dr. Frank thing happening here.
Oh, yeah. I've got that flyer around here somewhere. It's actually up on the website. Just a sec. Coos Integrity. Actually, I have the poster. I could probably just put it up on the screen, don't you think?
I think you could put that up on the screen. But the cool thing is he's coming here to talk to us about election integrity. Is he? What was his reason for coming to Oregon? He was just here.
He's doing. He's actually. We have a whole bunch of people that are working on collecting information about election integrity and voter roll shenanigans and all that good stuff. And we've got groups that are in a lot of the counties, but he's actually doing like this huge tour around the whole state. He's picking up all the counties that don't have people on board yet. And so what we're doing is we're doing knowledge sharing where, we don't have some people out in Eastern Oregon. Well, they've got some people that are starting to organize. So we basically get them up to speed on how to look at your voter rolls and how to look at the laws, who to talk to. You got a sheriff that works good with you. You got a commissioner that works well with you, how to take advantage of that. So he's kind of like the Johnny Appleseed of election integrity. And he's traveling to all the counties that don't have people actually doing work for it, work yet, that kind of thing. So that's why he's doing another big bomb tour. Let's see, where's the share screen button? I could have sworn it was right there a minute ago. Oh, there it is. Share screen. Yeah. And doop. There you
It's
go.
not up.
And add to stage. Remove other media streams from stage. Huh? Okay.
Oh, hold on. I got that.
You've got the slides up. Okay. Let me see if I can do it this time.
Do it again.
One more time. Share screen.
Yeah, you just had it. I was almost there.
Yep. And show it and add it to stage. Boink.
There you go. And there you are. And this is happening Monday, February 20. I can't read that. What does that say?
It's Monday, February 23rd from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the Coos Bay Library Myrtlewood Room, which is at 525 Anderson Avenue in Coos Bay, Oregon. Dr. Frank, follow the data with Dr. Frank. It's not opinions. It's data. He can show you all the graphs, and I can back up all those graphs with all those data because I've got like 6 years of voter rolls that we've gotten, like every couple of months now. I have so much stinking data that I've been sifting through. But anyway, so he is coming to Coos Bay Library Myrtlewood Room on Monday, February 23rd from 6 to 8:30 p.m. is Follow the Data with Dr. Douglas Frank, Nobel Prize nominee, and he's coming back again.
Nice. Very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So we are having a governor's debate next month, and we've already got 3 yeses from the top 3. We're only going to have the top 5 people because if you have more than 5, you don't have any time.
Yeah.
It would take like 6 hours just to do a governor's debate. So yeah. It's gonna be cool. We're gonna be doing that next month, and how the people in our group just really go out of their way to make everything just really what they did for Turning Point USA event, the American tours. And it really wasn't a Turning Point event. It was the American Values Tour. Yeah. And, with what they did with the concert and the dinner, you would have been impressed with the dinner, Marty. They really decked out that room. It was nice.
I saw pictures of it. It looked like it was a lot of fun. I was like, it was one of those things where it was like, if I would have been smart and tried, and started prepping like a month earlier, I probably could have gotten a flight for cheap enough that I would have done it. But when it got to be like inside the 2 to 3 week window, then that means flights from LAX to North Bend are like $900 and something. And I'm like, I'd really like to go, but $900, not $900 worth like to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, things have kind of changed since you left. We're in a little bit of a better position right now, and a lot of really cool stuff is going on. So when you get back, we got a lot of things that are going to happen. So
I'm trying to get back at the end of this month or early the start of next month, because I want to pound the commissioners with some more ideas about ballot initiatives and advisory ballot measures and things like that. And that's something where I have to be in person to do that. I can't just send them an email and go, think about it.
And you may have new commissioners by the time you get here.
How so? I mean, the election doesn't happen until May.
Oh, did you say March?
I said March. I'm trying to get back. March 10th is the deadline for people to get things on the ballot.
Okay. So, then that works out.
Got to get back before then, or get somebody there to get it going. Do you know who the governor candidates are that you hope to get to show up?
Oh, yeah. We were trying to get David Medina, Danielle Bethel, Ben, Ed Deal, Christine Drazen, and Dudley.
Oh yeah. Chris Dudley, I think.
And everyone else is, we can do a second one later on down the road, but I would say those are the 5 top.
Yeah, but I mean, the nice thing is if you get those people in, and it's a good turnout, and and it's well moderated and all that good stuff, then a couple of weeks later you could do the ones that weren't there and just try to cover the whole field.
And we want to do a Monique Despain. I think there's a guy in the primary with her. We'd like to have the commissioners come in. There's a couple of candidates. Cribbins has a Republican challenger in the primary, and I've been wanting to get him. He's contacted me, and I haven't gotten back to him, or his campaign has, to come on the show. So I need to talk to him. That would be kind of interesting.
What's Cribbins running for?
Boomer Wright's seat.
Oh, that's out of my district, so
yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get a vote for that.
So let's go through a few of these comments. Jeff Petit says, "You're still weird, TJ," and I believe it. This goes back to 9:50. It's now 10:40, so we're a little late on these, but that's okay. Daniel Adams, more salad, please. There were a lot of comments. Yeah. Rain Miller, yep, that's the inclusive way. Sam says rhetoric is the Constitution. Rhetoric. Oh boy. See, some of these people, it's funny. They would have been better in the debate. We just should have thrown them in there. She either respects him or is afraid of him being abusive online to her. Talking about Sal.
I'm assuming, yeah.
I'm so confused. What? Oh, that's funny. Amanda says, if the shoe fits, gosh, see, this would have been more appropriate, but
I was debating on whether to put them up on the screen as they kind of went by, because some of them are kind of time specific. It's like some of these comments, you're like, oh yeah, that was like something we said like 45 minutes ago.
Way long time ago. It's catching up.
Yeah.
Emily called the TPUSA attendees fascist in a song. Did she not? And I don't know if she did. I don't remember that. Jeff Petit says, I'm not a fascist. I'm a fucker.
That's right. I'm a proud fucker. Friends.
We got some t-shirts. Did you see the cool t-shirts?
No, I have not.
Oh, yeah. We got the I'm a fucker t-shirts.
Give me some.
What size do you wear?
Where do I buy? I'm mostly large.
Mostly large. I will make the request for a mostly large.
Cool.
90% medium. The rest mostly large.
Yeah. It's not a keg. It's just a pony keg. I don't have a beer gut. I got a pony keg.
Samuel Adams or flipping off someone waving an American flag. Yeah, there were some kind of moral equivalencies there. That was good versus evil. I don't know if it's good versus bad or good versus evil. That's yet to be seen. The rabid left are not just hippies with guitars.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, that's part of the whole deflection process. It's like, well, we're the peaceful ones. We're just playing guitars. We didn't do anything. And it's like, yeah, but there are so many threats. Why did the commissioner feel that he had to contact, the sheriff, the police departments, the state police, et cetera, et cetera? It was the threat that was the problem. Yeah. Of course, nothing happened. I mean, okay, so nothing happened. So what? The threat was still there.
If I tell someone I'm going to set their house on fire, and when you run out and your family runs out, I'm going to shoot you all in the yard as you're running out, and I'm standing on the sidewalk with a gun, and the cops show up, and I go, hey, nothing hasn't happened.
Yeah, there's nothing happening here.
There's nothing happening here.
You're just a snowflake.
But I have gay and lesbian friends, even older ones, and they totally disagree with the LGBTQ agenda. Yeah. And most of it, I do too. And it's the same way when you talk to the older gays. But they're, the young man that I know who's a transgender person, he's wacko, but he's the most sane wacko trans person I know, because he even tells, he even says that he knows that he's got problems. He just likes wearing dresses. And I think
mean,
that's
the one
okay.
person, yeah, I mean, the one person I know that, I mean, I know a lot of people that are trans, but most of them are just dress up. But I know one that actually went through the whole procedure and now he's no longer a man. And he's actually pretty normal, nice guy. I used to hang out with him quite a bit. And, I'm always curious what his wife thinks about it. But, it was like at one point he was in the CIA and he was a spy in Russia. And I think that might have just like screwed him up just a tad. So, I mean, great guy to talk to, but there are certain times when you're like, sometimes around the edges, it just looks a little, like crap. It's sort of like when you see
Yeah.
when you see a thunderstorm in the distance and you see like lightning going around the
Hmm.
clouds and stuff, you're going, yeah, something about that just doesn't look right.
There's
It's
just
like there's this,
something. Yeah.
yeah. But
And
anyway,
that's the instinct that we all, and that's what they're really, because they're saying, oh, we need to be empathetic.
hmm,
That's where they mistake Jesus. They think Jesus was an empathetic. He felt things more than anyone else. No, it was his wisdom that was, and his divinity that was great. You know what I mean? The empathy, that's something women feel. They always feel, and not just women, but feely touchy guys are the same way. They seem to know what
yeah,
everyone's feelings are, and how we should all feel about stuff. And it's like, I hate those. I don't hate those people. I hate when people tell me how to feel. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's the kind of it's like when my mother used to do that to me. Oh, you're angry, honey. No, honey, I'm not angry at all. Yeah, you look angry. No, I'm not angry. Well, I'm sorry. I just thought you looked a little angry. Well, I'm starting to get angry. You know what I mean? Just say you were
yeah,
angry. Yeah,
yeah.
now I'm
Well,
angry.
yeah, I
So
wasn't angry until we started this conversation about me being angry. So
angry.
I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy. I just wanted a Pepsi.
Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the conversation you have sometimes. And empaths, I think there's something, it's okay to have feelings and to understand, the sensitivity of others. But at a certain point, you're endangering yourself and others. There's
Yeah.
too much. You can have too much compassion. Chris had a word for it. It was sadistic altruism.
Oh, I thought it was suicidal empathy.
Suicidal empathy works too.
Yeah.
But suicidal empathy is how you get to sadistic altruism. You know what I
Oh, there
mean?
you go. Yeah. Yeah, I understand what you're saying because it's just there's a lot of like, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. Or you're going to get yourself killed if you're like, you're like, oh, I have to do this for these people, and I'm like, oh, you don't understand. You're just a pawn, and you know what happens to pawns in chess games?
Yeah.
You're going to be gone soon. But at some point, when I used to be somewhat empathetic and I was like everybody's like cheap psychiatrists, they'd come to me with their problems, and I try to help them out and try to show them what they should look at and how they should work on things. And then at some point, it just got to be such a burden because people were constantly coming to me going, I have some problems and I need you to help me. And I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a one-time deal. I'm not, if you want somebody to do that all the time, go pay somebody a lot of money to do that. Because unless you're bringing me free beer, I'm really not going to be doing that much.
That should be the requirement for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Free beer.
It's like when Lucy ran her psychiatric booth. Psychiatric help 5 cents. I'm like, Marty's psychiatric booth, 6-pack.
And that works with pot too, folks. It's the same.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going through these comments and it's so funny, Ray Miller. You're incorrect. The intent of the counter protest was to intimidate. Yeah, I would agree with that. Nothing but ad hominem, don't need anything but this show is to see she is evil. And once again, I don't think she's evil. I don't think Emily's evil.
But she certainly has some odd arguing techniques. So like you said, ad hominem attacks. It's like, or it's like, well, contradicting what she said like 15 seconds ago, saying, I didn't say that. I'm going, you didn't. You said that exactly. Here are the 4 words you said. That's exactly what you said. No, I didn't say that. Oh, now you're saying I'm bad because I said that? I'm like, oh, now you're changing the argument. Well, you're just a bad person for saying that. I'm going, and now it's an ad hominem attack. I mean, when are we going to get into logical fallacies? Let's do that next.
Amanda said she didn't go because she didn't want her kids subjected to that, and she talks about it later on. Show up against the fascists. Yeah, I think that was a word that was used more often. And the problem is that so much of it wasn't her. You know what I mean? Most of it, the majority of the garbage that I saw wasn't even her. Everyone who called and left nasty messages for me and all that stuff, that wasn't her. It was all these crazy people, and she probably didn't even know them. I'm pretty sure. And I bet you but they said they didn't get any threats. That should be telling right there. But the ones who threatened me, they were definitely.
Yeah, well, she said she got a threat when somebody like pointed a gun at her, or a rifle or something. And I'm like, yeah, I've had that happen as well. But, if you truly thought it was a threat, then you should have pointed it out and something should have been done about it. I mean, it's like,
and not only that, it happened during the event. All of this stuff that happened to us was leading up to the event a month at least beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Wow, we got a lot of comments, man. We are like.
Well, we weren't keeping up because we were too busy yammering. We weren't keeping up on the comments. Yeah.
Any allegations equal credibility? Prove it. I know it was so hard. It was like she was throwing out accusations, and it was like, well, I can't sit here. Yeah, like she said, we're not going to be able to type all this up and get it back here in this document, in this court case, in this comment. It says right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben, thank you. Ben, if you're still watching, thank you for sharing this. Ben shared this. And Gary Lee Hutchins. Gary, I don't know if Gary's still watching, but I nearly had him on for this show instead of TJ because Gary just seemed like someone else I thought would be really good because he has a really good outlook and he's kind of positive, he's very positive on things. I thought it would have been great having her on. You know what I mean? I was a little leery of having Brandy on, because I thought it might have been fireworks, even though I'll tell you what, she kept posting, she kept sending me texts during the whole thing. And I finally said, Brandy, do you want to come on? And then she responds, no, I'm laying here with my husband. I don't want to be bothered with this, And it was
tell her to post stuff on like YouTube or Facebook or X. I mean, so we can put it up on the screen. I mean, just texting you personally, it's like, what's the point? You're kind of trying to do a show, aren't you?
Yeah, no kidding. This is an interesting comment by James McHenry. Sal has also bragged about that he can be nearby people under the age of 18 and that he owns a weapon. 2 things that man should not be allowed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, he went off there for a few there. Spoiled children. We haven't even, I don't know how far this goes. Geez, I'm sorry. I just have to go through this. I can't stop.
I mean, the last one was posted at 10:49, so I don't know where you're at in this thing.
I'm at 10:13. I curse, but her language is telling of her emotional intelligence. She is saying nothing. It's all tactics, just as I expected. Just as is expected.
Yeah, so we got about 15 to go, I think.
Wow, this was really cool. Nothing but excuses and empty statements. Empty-headed, spoiled child. They have no interest in truth, just selling their wares. You are extreme assembly. Okay.
What was she selling? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I wasn't buying.
She didn't plug her song. I mean, she didn't plug her song or any of that. So
actually, Marty, Emily has a very beautiful voice. She was singing. She was singing she came to our concert with Brandon Hart.
Oh, nice.
And it was really cool. We didn't have any problems with anybody. And she showed up and we talked to her for a few. She signed 3 of the 4 petitions.
Oh, that's nice.
That should be telling. She signed 3 of our 4 petitions. We are closer, really, than we are apart. If you just look by that, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, I've met her a couple of times at the boardwalk protests, and and I saw her video, and I was like, wow, really good singer. Don't agree with the message, but really good singer, really good, real good musician. Bet she can't play trombone though. Huh.
Can anyone really play trombone?
Why do you want a bass player in your band? Because if your car breaks down, the bass burns longer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. Wow. You spoil, boy, they were really mad at her. I know they were mad at her, but I appreciate her coming on. I mean,
oh, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of times when things got wound up that was like, okay, that's wasted time. But out of the 2.5 hours we were doing it, I'd say it was probably 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 15 of good material. And then 15 of, okay, that was just yelling over yelling. So no point. But as far as a radio show goes, it sounded great. We should be able to pull in more advertisers. Come on, let's go.
We should definitely be able to pull in. Got to give her that. She is willing. She will say nothing proudly. Yeah. Okay. They cannot define why they feel the way they do. It's how you know that they have no self-arrived convictions. Interesting. Okay, here we go. Best show I've seen. Fantastic job, everyone. Even Emily. We're gonna have to have Emily on more often. I see. Bravo. It's poison. Samantha says, does he need someone
for green sport?
I don't know. I don't even know what that means. Well,
TJ says, thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Samantha is like, cool to see you. Great conversation.
Yes, Samantha, we have David Medina for our governor's debate.
Yep. That's why I asked you, who do you think was going to be there? I saw that question pop up.
And Dr. Frank. So Samantha's still on the line. Marty, it was a kick-ass time. That was fun. I had a lot of fun time there. And folks, on Monday, I think I'm going to give Troy Cribbins a call. Maybe I'll have him on the show Monday, but we'll be talking about the legislative session and all that good stuff. And let me get the music started because here.
Are you guys going to be at the headquarters tomorrow? Anybody headquarters tomorrow?
In the morning. There's going to be people there.
Okay. No, it's just from the standpoint of signature gathering kind of things, but
they will take their signature. If you want to sign in the morning, they'll probably be there from like 8 or 9 in the morning until about 11. It depends. Sometimes those old guys will sit around there till noon.
Isn't that coffee with conservatives?
Coffee with conservatives. I don't do the Saturday thing. That's not my thing. I'm there. I'm going to try to get back to Tuesdays and Wednesdays so that it'll be Carol and Elmer on Monday, me on Tuesday, and me on Wednesday, and that way we get 3 days in a row from 2 till 6 till 6 at night.
Okay, cool.
I can only do about 4 hours, and then I go insane.
No, same here. I mean, it was like when we were both sitting there doing 4 hours, it was like, well, at least you're there, so we can like shoot the crap, or you can like wander off and get a haircut, or or something.
Something.
So something.
Cool. Very cool. Take care. And until I see you folks next time, carry on, Coos County. Carry on.
Carry on.